Howdy, howdy, welcome in, yo. My name is Jordan. I am the Midwest Game Guy, MGG for short. Welcome into the return to Mystery Monday. We haven't had a good Mystery Monday in quite a while. We've been reserving the Mondays for lots of indie spotlights. So, we are going to return to a game we played a demo of a couple months ago that were reached out to by the dev themselves from KK Studios. And they hit me up on my business email, all professional like, and they said, thanks so much for playing the demo. Here's a free copy of the game. It just came out on April 9th. Would you mind playing it? Would you want to play it some more? I was like, of course, I'll play some more. Let's get the full version of it and see if we can crack this murder mystery here. So it should be a lot of fun. Welcome in, everybody. Hello. I see a lot of awesome people were talking as we were grooving into the sophomore makeout song. Welcome in, Toasta. Welcome in, Stoned Hero 420. Says, I like to set the stream settings to 160p and watch Blur West Game Guy. Oh no. Or is it Midwest Game Blur? Toasta says, happy 420p. Yes, happy 420 to all of you who celebrate. Happy 420 to y'all. Happy Hitler's birthday, of course, and Marge Simpson's birthday. Happy, maybe Midwest Blur guy? Mid Blur Game West guy? Definitely one of those things. It's heckin' blurry. Midwest, what's up? Welcome in, Valen. Hey, Drums 107. Hope you're doing well today. Same to you. Hi, Valen. Hope you're doing well, Drums. Midwest. Head gets a bobbin when you rockin' with the best. Oh, you awesome, buddy. Well, welcome in, guys. We have a little bit of visual novel action. Some cute anime girls flirting with us and the like. We are basically a detective here. We're trying to solve a murder / possible suicide. Sorry, unaliving. Unaliving, that is. At a all-girls academy. And let's see if we can figure out who dones it. I was also told by the creator here that they said, let me see. We hit a small Easter egg in the game, especially for those who played the demo. It's somewhere among the clues. You'll have to find it yourself. Cool. Well, maybe there's a reference to Midwest Game Guy in here then. I guess we'll have, if you see it in the clues when we look in the clue book later, you let me know. But basically, we're going to try to not be too influenced by these girls who like us, so we can figure out who died and why. I'm gonna bounce till I get to the house, burning up my mobile data. You're good, buddy. Appreciate you, Stone. You're awesome. Alright, let's get into it. Let's see. This program contains free software and number of licenses, including MIT license and GNU Lesser General Public License. A complete list of software, including links to full source code, can be found here. Got your developers, project manager, Venji Sui. I believe this is a Russian game. Programmer Darkman. All the awesome. Oh, only a couple of people, really. Darkvan, Programmer Environmental Arts, Katerina Samoldakina. I'm probably messing these up really bad. Screenwriter Katerina Verbitskaya, and Environmental Artist, Character Artist, and Designer Mary Marchenko. But yeah. And then we got some nice couple of songs here. So yeah, it's pretty much a small team here. True indie. We're going to do Twitch safe for now. There is 2 different modes. There's 18+, more detailed text descriptions of explicit scenes, and Twitch safe, toned down descriptions suitable for streaming. And we're going to do that. If you want to try the more detailed descriptions on your own time, I highly recommend you do so. We're going to make sure it's good for streaming and posting to YouTube. Alright, get ready for my narrator voice for the next couple hours. The cityscape had long given way to endless forests outside the window, but I was so lost in thought that I noticed nothing around me. The driver was saying something about the unusually warm September weather, but his words never reached my mind. My thoughts were occupied with memories of what had happened that morning. Is this my house? My apartment? Newspaper? And a phone? Unknown caller. A morning phone call interrupted my ritual of a cup of coffee and reading the news. I really break my own rules. Never answer unknown numbers, especially during vacation. But this time something was different. A gut feeling told me this call was no accident. The phone kept vibrating incessantly. I reached out and after a second's hesitation, answered the call. Look at my handsome self. My name's James. Hello? James? The girl's voice seemed vaguely familiar, but I couldn't recall where I'd heard it before. Who is this? You might not remember me. It's been many years. It's Nika. We were at the same summer camp, Bear Cliff. Do you remember? Oh, yes. Her name triggered a wave of long-forgotten memories, washing the rest of the world from my mind. Oh, look at those two. Nika, my first love. Of course I remembered. You don't forget something like that. Oh, she gave him a kiss on the cheek at Scout Camp. I remember. It's quite unexpected to hear from you after, what, 10 years? Yes, 10. Hard to believe. So this year marks the anniversary of our first meeting. Snooze that ad right there. Her voice sounded cheerful, almost playful, but I was too surprised to play along. And of our last meeting, too. Nika, did something happen? For a few seconds, silence hung on the line. You're right, something did happen. Oh. I wish the reason for calling you was just the anniversary, but there's a more serious matter. I've heard you become one of the best in your field. How did she find out that I work as a special agent? That's classified information. Despite my curiosity, there was clearly not the kind of question to ask over the phone. Basically, I need your help, James. What exactly is this about? Uh-oh. Well, that pretty much definitely tells us what it's about. Principal of an academy for girls, and yesterday a student died. You don't say. Everything points to suicide, but she had no reason for it. Things just got serious. And this might sound strange, but my instincts tell me there's something more to it. Vacation, huh? And now I'm investigating something again. A schoolgirl's suicide? That's not even my specialization. Damn, why'd I even agree? Just because I heard her voice? So many years, and after all this time, she had my number. She knew who I was, but she never called after what happened. Aw. Well, what really happened? It was puppy love. What truly connects us besides stories from summer camp? But no matter how hard I tried to convince myself that we had nothing in common, I couldn't forget how 10 years ago, after returning from camp, I rushed to the post office hoping to find a reply from Nika. For weeks, I found no letter among the fresh mail and even begged my parents to go see her to make sure she was all right. When my father found her home number, I called, but learned that the family had moved and no one knew the new address. Driver's voice pulled me out of my reflections of the past. We've arrived. When the driver stopped the car, I doubted for a moment that we had arrived at the right address. The building visible beyond the gates looked more like a luxurious mansion of some European aristocrat than a girl's school. Rose Academy. After grabbing my bag from the trunk and paying the driver, I double-checked the address on my phone. Rose Academy. This address seems right, so this really is a school. Judging by the location and appearance, girls studying here aren't from ordinary families. As I approached the gates, I instinctively noticed the flicker of a miniature sensor concealed within a decorative element. I'd seen these hidden facial recognition systems more than once. The only difference was that they were usually in government buildings or military facilities rather than in civilian institutions. Before my finger could press the buzzer, a mechanical voice came from a hidden speaker. Please state your name and the purpose of your visit. James Crofton. I'm here at the personal invitation of the principal. For a few seconds, the system was silent, processing the information. I walked through the gates and they smoothly closed behind me. Several students in identical uniforms stood on the lawn. Upon noticing me, they immediately began whispering, casting curious glances at my way. I pretended not to notice them, but my ears caught every word of their not-so-quiet conversations. Do you see him too, or am I tripping? He's so handsome. I wish he were our new teacher. Then I attend every one of his classes, especially the extracurricular ones, if you know what I mean. Oh, we know what you mean. Guess this school doesn't get visitors often. No wonder a new person on the academy grounds becomes subject of intense scrutiny. And considering it's a girls' school, it seems I'm sparking a special interest among the students. The path from the gates of the door felt like a red carpet. The closer I got to the school, the more curious gazes I felt upon me. I don't remember ever getting this much attention. Let's say it's pleasant. Must admit, I actually enjoy it. Feigning interest in the landscape design, I suddenly turned toward a senior student standing alone. She was standing nearby, her intense gaze fixed on me from the moment I stepped into the school grounds. Her eyes met for a moment, and I managed to notice her reddened eyes. Her fingers nervously fidgeted with the hem of her skirt. Like the other students, who looked at me with curiosity, her face showed tension and some kind of inner anxiety. Catching my gaze, she quickly looked away. She seems upset about something. Should I ask if she's alright? Wait, stop. Now's not the time. The investigation, James. Taking a deep breath as if before a dive, I pushed open the heavy front door. Surprisingly, there were no guards inside the building. Instead of live security, small surveillance cameras were visible everywhere. I looked around trying to figure out where to go next. The lobby branched off into several corridors, and none of them had a sign reading Principal's Office. Great, I'm in a school with the size of a small palace. There's no one to ask where to go. I'll have to rely on intuition. I chose the path to the right of the main entrance. Having walked to the end of the corridor without finding anything resembling the principal's office, I decided to turn the corner. Oh! The girl ran into us. I felt a shove that nearly made me lose my balance. It took me a few seconds to collect myself and realize what had happened. Well, hello there! There's a first bit of fan service there for you. I hope you enjoy it. Textbooks scattered across the floor, and their owner stared at me with wide, frightened eyes. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking for where I was going. I'm so sorry. You alright? You didn't hurt yourself? For some reason, the simple question made her cheeks flush bright red. No, I'm fine. It's just I'm very clumsy. My mom used to tell me when I was little that I had 2 left feet. It's always like this with me. The girl adjusted her glasses and looked at the scattered textbooks with annoyance. I'm running late. Do I have time to help? Yes, I'll help her pick up her books. Now to help the girl gather the spilled books. Oh, you don't have to. I can manage on my own, really. There's no trouble. Are you sure you're not hurt? No, I'm fine. Thank you so much. I picked up the last textbook, The Final Exam, Kill the Competition, and handed it to the girl. It'd be that Midwest guy again. Hey, Harles, good to see you, buddy. We're returning to our roots to a nice Mystery Monday session. We're playing case number 1, Rose Academy by KK Studios. We played the demo. The dev reached out to me a while back. We played the demo on the channel a couple months back, and now we're playing the full release version that came out on the 9th of this month. So, got a free copy for playing the demo. So, apparently there's a reference to me and possibly somewhere in the game. So we're gonna try to find it too. Hope you're well, buddy. You, Mr. VIP over there. Noticing the title of the book in my hand, she became even more embarrassed and quickly snatched it, carefully avoiding touching my fingers. So we bumped into each other. Could you tell me how to get to the principal's office? I got lost in these endless corridors. Oh, the principal's office. Of course, I know. Adjust this real quick. There we go. Straight down the corridor and then to the left. You can't miss it. There's a sign on the door. Thank you again for helping with the books. Her face brightened. Seemed she was glad she could get some help. She could help in some way. It's good I managed to ask the girl where Nika's office was, or I'd be wandering around here until evening. Following the direction, I found a corridor with the door proudly displaying a sign. Principal, Veronica Preston. Wow, so Nika is actually short for her full name. Seems I know very little about her. 10 years have passed, and I still remember her as the girl from camp. Meanwhile, she'd become the principal of an elite school. I paused for a second before the door, gathering my thoughts. Behind that door awaited not only information about the mysterious death of a student, but also a reunion with someone from my past who, it seemed, had long been left behind. Taking a deep breath, I knocked. From behind the door came a muffled, "Come in!" I turned the doorknob and stepped into the office. James, is that really you? What's up, doggy? Doctor, good to see you, buddy. Over 10 years, Nika has changed, as expected. The soft, childlike features I remember were gone. Nika had always been beautiful. Man, that watch streak notification be kind of annoying, not gonna lie. Well, I sorry, it's annoying. But I do appreciate you being here for a 5-stream streak. That's pretty awesome, buddy. Thanks so much. Nika had always been beautiful. Oh, I used all my snoozes. Ad break in about a minute, y'all. I never imagined that she would become such a stunning woman. Seeing me, Nika rose from her seat. I agree, Harles. Her suit perfectly accentuated her status as the principal of a prestigious school, while still highlighting her graceful figure. Nika seems genuinely happy to see me, yet she still keeps her distance. I wonder if it's that professional habit or something personal between us. Please come in, have a seat. She pointed to the chair opposite the desk and sat back down in the principal's seat.
Hello there.
Hey, Dave. How's it going, buddy? Welcome into a nice Mystery Monday. It's been a hot mess since we had a Mystery Monday, so we're in the middle of a case where we're investigating a possible unaliving / murder mystery at an all-girls school in the middle of the country, so. And we're a guy, so we'll see what happens. Hijinks ensue. Nika looks unexpectedly at home behind this massive desk, even despite her relatively young age. I'm glad to see you. How have I not noticed this redeem before? There's a lot of redeems, and I appreciate you saying hello as Obi-Wan, though. General Kenobi. Glad to see you. It's just a shame our reunion is happening under these circumstances. Give her a compliment. Glad to see you too, Nika. You look wonderful, and I must admit, this position suits you. Principal Veronica Preston sounds impressive. And what should I call you now, Veronica? Miss Preston, or my lady? Her eyebrows rose slightly, and then she unexpectedly smiled. That very same smile I hadn't seen in years, but could never forget. Oh, she was our summer camp crush we never got over. God, please don't be so formal. My parents call me Veronica when I'm in trouble, and Miss Preston is for students and teachers. Tips hat, m'lady. Tips fedora all over the place. M'lady sounds more interesting. I'm afraid if anyone heard this, they might misunderstand us. For you, I've always been and always will be just Nika. She looked over appraisingly, tilting her head slightly. You've changed too, by the way. You've matured, becoming even more serious. Although you know, even at camp, you stood out among the other boys. Told myself back then, that boy is special. Glad to see I wasn't wrong. Well, you know, you were no shrinking violet either. Still remember how you coolly chased that huge spider out of your cabin. I'd already forgotten about that. It's been so long. Nice that you remember such little things. For so many years, well, you know, childhood memories usually fade. M'lady. She hesitated for a moment, as if she wanted to say something more, but professionalism took over. Love to chat with you and reminisce about our old camp stories, but I'm afraid this isn't the best time for nostalgia. Unfortunately, we need to discuss something far less pleasant. You're right, let's get down to business. Tell me more about this student. What exactly happened? Nika took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. It was clear that talking about what had happened was not easy for her. Yesterday, one of our students was found hanged in the pool locker room. Her name was Evelyn Frost, a senior student and member of the swim team. Evelyn was one of our best students. No one could have imagined she was capable of such a step. We called the police and an ambulance, followed by all the protocols, but this is a terrible tragedy for our entire school. The girls are scared, parents are calling every 5 minutes, teachers are in shock. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Nika, I'm sorry, but suicides usually don't require precautions like calling in specialists like me. Why did you decide to contact me? I called you so you could take a fresh look at all this and conduct a small investigation. I need an objective answer. Why Evelyn might have done this. Just a couple weeks ago, we were discussing her plans for the future. which, by the way, were quite ambitious. But her ambitions were justified. She was one of the main contenders for the grant. Wait, what grant? Every year, our top graduate gets the opportunity to enroll in any university in the country without any tests or exams. Not just admission, her tuition, housing, and all the expenses are fully covered. The competition is fierce, of course. They consider everything, not just grades, but also sports, achievements, community work, and leadership qualities. Evelyn had every chance to getting this grant, so it's incomprehensible to me that what could have pushed her to do this. Maybe the overwhelming pressures of becoming the best student in a very prestigious, rich academy? I don't know. You see, I can't be objective. To me, the students and the faculty are almost family. I know these girls not just from their documents and grades. I see them every day. I watch them grow. When something like this happens, it's like a punch to the gut. I feel responsible. To Evelyn, to her parents, to the rest of the students. Right now, I really need a clear head by my side. Besides, I don't have much time. Tell me more about that. How much time do we have for the investigation? The Board of Trustees meeting is in 4 days. They expect answers. If we don't provide them, the school will likely be closed. Some parents have already said they'll pull their daughters out if they don't receive guarantees of their safety. That's why we need to find out what really happened. If it was a suicide, we need to understand the reason and do everything we can to make sure it never happens again. And if it's something else, we need to resolve it even faster. Do you already have the forensic report? Were there any signs of a violent death found? They promised they'd send the information this evening. As soon as the report is ready, I'll let you know immediately. Are there surveillance cameras in the pool area or in the corridors leading to it? If you have any doubts that she did this herself, the footage could settle the matter, possibly even before the medical examiner's report. Of course, I haven't seen the recordings yet, but I've already asked our technical specialist to extract and prepare all the footage from last night. Nika glanced at the watch on her wrist, then looked up at the clock wall, as if wondering, double-checking what time it was. Double-check. Let me get rid of this spam person. Boop. Alright. Double-checking the time. They'll be ready in 20 minutes. The locker rooms weren't equipped with cameras, of course, but there's one camera in the pool area and one in the corridor leading in. In any case, if it is a suicide, the cameras are unlikely to give us an answer as to why Evelyn did it. Let's just start from the beginning. Where, who, and when was the body found? In the locker room by the sports pool, around 11 in the evening. She was found by her classmate, Annie Harper. Did Evelyn have a key to the pool? Instead of a key, we use a face scanner. Access is available to me, Coach, Sam Rivers, and the girls on the swimming team. By the way, I've already requested to give you access as well, so you can enter the pool at any time. Doesn't the system keep a log of who entered and when? The scanner installed at the pool doesn't keep logs. Unfortunately, we didn't get around to upgrading it. Only the scanner at the main gate stores data. Only adults are allowed to leave the school grounds, and Evelyn was already 18. But in any case, she didn't leave the school grounds. I checked those records. Well, we'll work with what we have. You said her classmate Annie found her. Is she also a swimmer? Yes, Annie's also on the swim team. At our school, classes are formed not by age, but by areas of specialization. We have a science track, arts, humanities, and of course, sports, which includes several disciplines, including swimming. Evelyn and all the other swimmers she trained with were also her classmates. They not only trained together at the pool, but also attended most classes, which were adapted to their training schedule. In a way, this simplifies things, so we need to focus on the girls from the swim team. Please send me the information on everyone who has access to the pool, including students, faculty, and the maintenance staff. All the maintenance staff were off for the weekend, so they weren't at the school. I'm not sure it's worth spending time on them. As for the rest, I've already prepared the basic information for you. Nika handed me a folder, inside which I found photographs of the coach and the students, along with brief details, first names, last names, and ages. Sorry I'm giving you so little. Really wish I could tell you more, but you understand you're not here as an official investigator. I took a notebook and pen from my inner pocket of my jacket and quickly jotted down the information. Diary obtained. Yeah. Nika's phone vibrated. At the same time, a notification sound came from her computer. She glanced at the monitor, and her expression on her face changed sharply. I understand business can't wait. I just have a couple more questions. Seems time is really limited. I need to ask my questions wisely. More about Evelyn. What was she like? What were Evelyn's relationship with other students? Who else was competing for the grant besides Evelyn? Could Evelyn or her friend had enemies? Or family had enemies? What was Annie doing at the pool so late? Let's do who was competing with her. How serious was the competition? I knew you'd ask about that. In the morning, I wanted to get the senior class student files from the teacher's lounge, all their rankings, grades, and personal notes from the teachers about each student. The most interesting thing is, those papers disappeared. Apparently, one of the teachers took them and forgot to return them. I'll have to check with the staff. As for the grant, this year was mainly between Evelyn and her classmate Mickey Elderwood. Both very talented, but in different areas. Evelyn was our star in the pool, while Mickey is simply a genius in the exact sciences. In math and physics, she has no equal. She even won at competitions twice. Okay. What was her relationship with other students? What were Evelyn's relationship with other students like? Did she have friends or enemies, or how did the other girls treat her? During her entire time here, Evelyn only truly became friends with her roommate, Sophie. Sophie's the complete opposite of Evelyn. Outgoing, emotional, always the center of attention. But somehow they complement each other perfectly. Nika paused for a second, then glanced across her desk and reached decisively for a drawer. I think I had a photo of them somewhere. Yes, here it is. Took out a small photograph in a simple frame and handed it to me. Aw, friends. Wait a minute, I seen this girl today at the school gates. She's the student who was staring at me intently. She looked worried. With the other girls on the team, Evelyn's relationships were mainly neutral. I think they respected her for her results, but didn't really include her in the circle. Maybe because she was rather withdrawn herself. Haven't heard of any serious animosity, of course. We have minor disagreements and misunderstandings like any school does, especially given that ours is a private one. But nothing worth worrying about, well, as far as I know. Her and her family have enemies outside the school. Quite possibly, our school mostly educates daughters of wealthy and influential parents. People like that always have enemies, as you can imagine. Evelyn's parents own a chain of pharmaceutical companies. I've heard that their business has grown significantly recently, and that clearly didn't sit well with competitors. On one hand, thanks to her wealthy parents, Evelyn has had many privileges, but on the other hand, she's become a target for those who wanted to harm her family. Brings up the logical question, could outsiders have entered the school? Extremely unlikely. We have automatic facial recognition cameras. If there were a stranger, the system would immediately alert me. The database only contains our students and staff, who can be counted on one hand. We only admit visitors by appointment and with an escort, even parents are no exception. The bigger picture of what has happened is slowly coming together in my mind. Do you think the camera's footage is ready yet? I think we can check. Johnson usually works very fast. He may have already prepared everything. Both rose from our chairs before we could take a single step. The office door swung open without a knock. A woman in a tracksuit practically burst into the room. Miss Preston, I need to speak with you urgently. The woman stopped mid-sentence, noticing me in the office, but she didn't look embarrassed. Her gaze seemed more appraising. I'm sorry, didn't know you had a visitor. I must have interrupted your conversation. I should have knocked. It's quite alright. Let me introduce you. This is James Crofton, a specialist I invited to help us sort through out the situation. James, this is Sam Rivers, our swimming coach. So what's the urgent matter? Afraid the situation's already sitting right in front of you. The whole school is buzzing about a man in a suit arriving. Rumors are already spreading. Came to ask that the police don't torment the students with endless interrogations. The girls are already traumatized by the death of their classmate. James isn't exactly from the police. He's a specialist with investigative experience who will help us get to the bottom of everything. If we're talking with the girls, it's a necessity. We need to understand what could have driven Evelyn to take such a step. Besides, I've already obtained consent from the parents for interviews with the students as well as consent from the students themselves. With all due respect, you don't need to be an investigator to understand that the girl probably just couldn't handle the responsibility. Didn't get a chance to ask what exactly she meant by responsibility, as the piercing wail of the fire alarm echoed through the building. Nika instantly turned to the desk and reached for the computer. A few keystrokes and her face froze. This isn't a drill. The security system show a fire in the third floor. The server room is burning. Oh no, where the footage of the cameras are? That's where Johnson's preparing the footage right now. Nika rushed to the door and Sam and I followed her. The hallways were already in motion. Students and teachers were filing out of the classrooms in organized chaos. We struggled to push through the crowds running towards us. School filled with the hums of voices and the blare of the alarm. Nika was giving orders to teachers she passed along the way. Mrs. Parker, make sure all the younger students are escorted to the area in front of the school. Jenkins, contact the fire department. A middle-aged woman, apparently one of the teachers, was trying to calm a sobbing girl, while the other students lined up against the wall. Nika confidently led us through the maze of corridors, climbing higher up the stair-skipping steps. On the third floor, we turned to a deserted corridor. There were no students here, only the smell of smoke growing stronger with every step. Reaching the end, we stopped in front of a small room with the gray plumes of smoke billowing from under the door. Johnson, are you in there? There's no answer. We looked around and spotted a fire extinguisher on the wall, and without wasting a second, yanked it from its mount. Knew it could be dangerous, but every second counted. Stand back. Hold the door open and aim the stream of foam at the source of the fire. The coach needs to burst into this room next. Oh no! She'll come out with all of her clothes melted off. That'd be terrible. The flames quickly retreated. Despite all the smoke, the fire is actually small. Having extinguished the last flickers, I looked around. It was a small room, like a closet in size, with several monitors and technical equipment. Thank God, there's no one here. Johnson must have already evacuated with the others. Your tech specialists probably survived, which is more than that can be said for the computers. A strange coincidence, the fire broke out right when the camera footage was being prepared. Too strange for it to be an accident. Seems someone really didn't want us to find out what was going on in those cameras. It's quite possible this could be connected to the girl's death. Is someone destroying evidence? I think we should find this Johnson as soon as possible and figure out why the fire started such an inconvenient time and where he was during it. I'll take care of that. We also need to calm the students and staff. The sooner we get things back to normal, the better. James, maybe in the meantime you could talk to Miss Rivers. She was Evelyn's coach and mentor after all. She might be able to tell you something useful. I don't mind. I'd also like to take a look at the place where the body was found. Sam, could you show James the pool in the locker room? Sure, no problem. Nika, take your time. I'll talk to Miss Rivers and Evelyn's classmates in the meantime. Just Sam, please. Sam gave me a slight wink with an unexpected playfulness that didn't match her previously serious demeanor at all. Nika's reaction was barely noticeable. It's just a slight tension in her jawline and a fleeting pause before she nodded and turned towards the exit. There was tension between the two women that I couldn't help but notice. Was it just me, or was Nika jealous of Sam? Watching Nika leave, I hurried to catch up with Sam, who was already heading in the opposite direction. Can I look at my notebook? Hey! What we got so far? So Evelyn is the one who died. She's 18 years old, and we found the picture of her with Sophie. One of the top students, a grant candidate. Evelyn's parents own a chain of pharmaceutical companies. We don't know. All we know is Mickey is 18, competing with Evelyn for a grant. Sophie's 18, she's a classmate, was Evelyn's best friend. Vivian Devereaux, 17 years old, classmate. Annie, 17 years old, found Evelyn's body on Sunday around 11 at night. We got Coach Rivers, Sam, she's 33 years old. There is the hearts. So far we have a 1-up heart with Nika and Mickey. And we found this picture so far. And this little fan service for you. And that's all we got so far. They said there was somewhere in here I could look at that would show us people who had... It was hidden in here, it looks like. Dang, stream even lagged for a second because of the fan service. Oh, there's gonna be more of it, don't you worry. I'm just trying to figure out... He said it was hidden among us. Oh, there it is again. Sorry about that. The creator said there was it hidden in the notebook. We could find something about people who played the demo. Is there a way to try clicking this, maybe? No? Maybe it'll come up later. We walked down the corridor in silence and descend to the first floor. The fire alarm siren had already died down, but a faint smell of smoke still lingered in the air. That's a big pool, holy cow. Past several turns, went through the double doors and found ourselves in a spacious room with a high ceiling. The smell of chlorine hit my nose instantly. Here we are, the home of champions. Holy camole. That is very impressive. Holy shit, thanks, Toaster. Toast is currently on a 50-stream streak. Holy damn, Toasta. Don't forget about the missing Johnson. That's right. Gotta find that Johnson. Swords up for that missing Johnson, everybody. Coach's voice softened, taking a playful tone. So you're not with the police? Then where are you from? Curiosity flickered in her eyes. She looked at me with her head tilted to the side, as if trying to solve a puzzle. I'm conducting a private investigation, more or less. Miss Preston invited me as an independent specialist. Sounds mysterious. Took a step towards me, closing the distance. Mysterious man in a perfect suit, and handsome too. Just like in the movies. I'd like to examine the locker room where the body was found. Could you show me? She nodded and headed towards the door on the right side of the hall. I followed her, trying to focus on the case rather than her blatant flirting. Locker room looks ordinary. Rows of metal lockers, wooden benches, and a few shower stalls. Carefully examined the room, trying to understand what could have happened here yesterday. What was Evelyn's locker number? 17. She answered without a moment's hesitation. Does the coach know the locker numbers of all her students, or only certain ones? Looked around once more, trying to spot something that might offer some clues. Bent down to look under the bench. At the moment, I felt someone staring at me. Turning around, I noticed Sam quickly looking away, but not fast enough. Her gaze had been aimed at my backside. She was staring at my ass. If y'all... That's what she's doing. Did she leave a note? A note? No, nothing like that. And why would she leave one? That wasn't her style. Why do you think so? Even when she was alive, that girl barely ever opened her mouth. I trained her in the pool for 3 years, and all that time we maybe exchanged a couple of phrases. She was, how do I put it, withdrawn. All that existed for her was the pool, the stopwatch, and the result. Her locker? Walked into her locker number 17 and examined it. Ordinary metal locker, no different. That's a quote to walk in on. What do I say? She's staring at her ass. What's up, Chester? Ordinary metal locker, no different than the rest. Inside were only a small blue towel and flip-flops. Sniffs flip-flops for clues. Smells flip-flops. So we got this. So it looks like the schedule here. Yee! How you doing, bud? Let's look at this. My gaze stopped on the thick water pipe running along the ceiling. This is the pipe where she was found? Yes, there's no one else to hang yourself around here. Sam instinctively reached for her neck, massaging the tense muscles, a body signal of emotional discomfort. However, her face remained remarkably calm for someone talking about the death of her student. Not much, just pop in to say hi before I chill out for the night. Of course, buddy. Always appreciate you saying hi and chilling and just being your awesome self. My gaze slid down along the row of lockers and stopped on a schedule pinned to the side of one of them. I stepped closer to read the entries. Doing well, beat trombone champ and metal hell singer today. You're on a roll, buddy. Good job. Let's see, we got, this is this week's schedule. We had group training on Monday, and then Annie Harper had Tuesday at this time. 11, Evelyn, group training, Mickey Elderwood. Oh, suspicious. At noon, Evelyn was here, but Annie was supposed to be here. But she moved to the 4 o'clock time slot on Sunday night, or on Sunday afternoon. Mickey Elder was the only one on Monday at 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock was Sophie, Vivian, Sophie, and Annie. Nobody was on for Saturday. The only person on for Sunday was Annie. That is suspicious. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Have a good one, man. Thanks, Chester. Appreciate you, buddy. And then the last shift of the night at 4 o'clock was Vivian, Sophie, Mickey, Vivian, and Evelyn. Gotcha. Evelyn's last training session was 4 p.m. on Friday. The pool was supposed to have an individual training session for Annie Harper. Sunday entry stood out. It was written in blue marker, while the rest of the schedule was in black, clearly added later. Sam Rivers kept her eyes fixed on me, nervously tapping her sneaker against the tile floor. Uh-oh, maybe we should move this to my office? We can talk there in peace. It feels uneasy in here. Alright, I think I'm done here. We're going to the coach's office. Ooh, there's a notable change in the music. Coach's office turned out to be a small but comfortable room. Cabinets lined them with trophies stood along the walls, and photographs of smiling girls with medals around their necks hung on the walls. A small couch sat in the corner, and a desk occupied the center of the room. I settled on the couch, while Sam headed to the coat rack and began pulling off her sports jacket. Oh goodness. Here we go. After all that running through the corridors, I feel like after a good workout, all hot and sweaty. Really need to do something about that. There you go. Jacket has disappeared. Sam pulled the zipper down and removed her jacket in a slow, almost deliberate motion. I'm gonna linger. Gulp. Look at my face. My little notebook. She's like, I know you're watching. Bad boy. Couldn't take my eyes off Sam. Beneath the sports jacket was the tight tank top, barely containing her ample bust. That's quite the sentence. The fabric outlined every curve of her toned body, showcasing the results of years of training. Our eyes unexpectedly met, and I realized she'd been watching my reaction the entire time. A satisfied, almost predatory smile played on her lips. Well, what's going on here? We're just having a nice conversation with the swimming coach in her office. No big deal. Her gaze held clear satisfaction. My reaction had clearly pleased her. I need to focus on the investigation. I need an adult! Oh, she's 33. She is an adult. You're fine. You're good. She can take care of you. I need to focus on the investigation, not on the obvious assets of the swimming coach. Although I must admit, the assets are quite impressive. Sam sank to the chair opposite, crossing her legs and leaning slightly forward. Her gaze was aimed directly at me, as if she were trying to read my thoughts. So where were we? I need an adult. I am an adult! That's a good one. When we were in the principal's office, you said you weren't surprised that Evelyn took her own life. Why? Even though I'm her coach and I shouldn't say this, Evelyn Frost was quiet, a strange girl. Never once saw her smile. Can you imagine? Not once. Even when she broke the school record at a competition, no joy whatsoever, just a nod. But Evelyn was a damn talented swimmer. I had high hopes for her, and I was planning to raise her into an Olympic champion. You notice any changes in Evelyn's behavior recently? Maybe she seemed depressed or upset? Hard to say. You could never tell what she was feeling. She'd come in, train until she was drenched in sweat, and leave. All of it in silence with a stone face. You know, I always felt like swimming wasn't her choice. Her parents probably pushed her into it and constantly demanded results. I suppose at some point the girl just got tired of all. How were the relationships with the other girls in the swim team? Girls looked at her sideways, obviously, but they didn't bother her. They mostly didn't care about each other. Sure, they trained together, but you could hardly call them a team. I wanted to clarify one more thing. Where did Evelyn get the rope she used to hang herself with? Sam frowned slightly and glanced around quickly. She probably took it from here, from the coach's office. I have several training ropes. Shouldn't the coach's office be locked? There was never any need for that. Before all this mess, of course. But you just unlocked the door with a key when you came in. A moment of confusion flickered across Sam's face, which she immediately hid behind a playful smile. Detective, are you suspecting me of something? Of course, after what happened, I started locking the doors. Alright, let's move on to the next question. According to the schedule, the last training session with Evelyn was Friday evening. Did you notice anything unusual then? Sam frowned. On Friday, yes, I only saw her briefly. I had to cancel the individual session. I had personal business in town. She arrived a bit early and had already changed, so I apologized and told her the session was moved to the following week. She gave a bitter smirk. Who could have known the session was never meant to happen? That was the last time you saw Evelyn? Unfortunately, yes. I left Friday evening, didn't come back until Sunday afternoon. I had a training session with Harper. What, you even train on Sundays? Sam shrugged. All in the name of sports and results. Harper herself wanted to qualify for the regional competition this year. That's how it is. I sacrifice my weekends for my students. Good on you, coach. Very noble of you. Do you happen to go to the pool in the evening after 7? I love sports, sure, but not that much. Sam leaned forward, gazing intently in my eyes, the corners of her lips slightly raised into a faint smirk. Last night I spent the whole evening bored on my double bed. You know, at times like that we can really feel just how big it is for one person. Although I think you could help me with that little problem. Whoa! Wow! Wowie zowie, she's coming on strong. And an investigator with such abilities surely knows how to entertain a lady when she's lonely. We could play Monopoly. Okay, let's play along, sure. I allow myself a slight smile, meeting her gaze. In investigations, as in relationships, it's important not to rush. First, you need to gather all the facts, study the details, and only then draw conclusions. Perhaps when the case is closed, we can discuss your problem in more detail. Very, very, very nice answer. Sam's eyes lit up with pleasure. She clearly appreciated my answer. I like your strategy, Mr. Crofton. Think I have no more questions for you today. Actually, wait, I do have one more. Could you tell me where I could find Annie Harper? Monopoly? Are you trying to get murdered? Well, that's how we're gonna figure out who the murderer is. We're gonna play Monopoly with all these girls and women, and see who has the most murderous tendencies. That's my plan. Sam's eyebrows rose, and a flash of surprise mixed with wariness appeared in her eyes. Harper, what do you need her for? Annie found the body. At the very least, I need to understand why she went to the pool at that hour. She must have known something. Girl's mostly likely in her room right now. The student dormitory is in the east wing. Oh, she rose from the chair and took her sports jacket from the rack, putting it back on. Oh, clothes getting in the way again. I'll walk you there. The school is big. It's easy to get lost. Stepped out in the hallway. The building was gradually filling with students and staff. Sam led me confidently through the hall to the side wing. As we appeared, conversations died down and the students' attention turned our way. One of the girls looked at me with curiosity, but upon meeting the coach's stern gaze, she immediately turned away and quickened her pace. She's a man-eater. We went up the stairs to the second floor, where the hallway branched off in several directions. Students' rooms are in the east wing. The girls share in pairs. We group them by activity, athletes together, academic types together, makes them easier to manage and keeps their schedules from getting tangled. Sam lowered her voice slightly and leaned closer, her eyes sparkling with a playful glint. By the way, I'm just nearby. Room 91, right around the corner, in case you need any additional information, or something stronger than coffee after a long day. My goodness. I'll keep that in mind. Sam smiled faintly. My answer seemed to satisfy her well enough. Finally, Sam stopped in front of door 63. Almost funny. It had no decorations whatsoever, just a small metal plaque with the number. Here we are. Coach knocked briefly, no response. She knocked again, slightly more insistently. Perhaps the girls haven't come back yet after the evacuation. We're already about to leave when a quiet rustling came from behind the door. A few seconds later, it opened a crack. Annie, may we come in? Oh, the little Toradora type. Girl silently opened the door wider, letting us in. Maybe Sam got the wrong room, accidentally walked into a younger student's? Top of the girl's head barely reached my chest, but the coach showed no surprise. She's so tiny, hard to believe she's an upperclassman, let alone a competitive swimmer. Hey, this is Mr. Crofton. He's come to speak with us about Evelyn. But if you'd rather not, you're under no obligation to talk to anyone. We all understand. The brief exchange of glances between Annie and Sam did not escape my notice. Annie's shoulders tensed almost imperceptibly, her breathing becoming more measured, as if she was consciously controlling it. Her face is set into a mask of indifference, but her body betrayed either aversion or fear. I'm fine. I'm ready. Coach leaned slightly towards the girl, lowering her voice to an almost intimate whisper. Good. If you start feeling uncomfortable, you can always talk it through with me. You know I won't let anyone hurt you. Annie nodded slightly, clenching her jaw so tight the muscles stood out on her cheeks. Thank you for showing me the way, Miss Rivers. I want to see if I can see what I'm supposed to see in here. Where's the cool thing? Oh, me and Sam have a 2 here. Oh, nice. Got a 1 with Nika and a 1 with Mickey. Which is funny because I think Mickey's the only one I don't have a picture of. Got the schedule with Sam. Last practice session was on Friday. Tell Dusty how to speak. Oh, good job. Are they singing? Are they saying the national or the? Are they saying any great speeches from our forefathers? There's the schedule. Got the picture with Sam there. He'll do anything for cheese. Cheese is great. My dog also loves cheese. I assume this is the save button. Let's save there. Coach stepped out of her room, quietly pulling the door shut behind her. Annie and I were left alone. Annie stood with arms crossed, looking at me with open defiance. Despite her small stature, she somehow managed to look formidable. Took an uninterested look around the room. The space seemed split into two entirely different territories. I'd wager the messy hat belongs to Annie, judging by her crumpled collar and crookedly knotted tie. She clearly not the type who sorts her socks by color. The problem is now he thinks if he barks at me, he gets treats now. Oh no! Yeah, you gotta be able to do that. Set the expectation there. Mind if I sit down? Sit yourself. Annie gave a dismissive wave towards a neatly made bed, but stayed on her feet. How you holding up, Annie? I understand this must be very difficult. How do you think I feel? I found my classmate's body and now everyone's interrogating me like I'm the one who did something? Do you have any idea what's that like? Annie turned abruptly towards the window, then took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She turned back to me. Her face showed a mixture of irritation and exhaustion. Stupid fire alarm on top of everything. The whole school's in a panic and I can't even get any sleep. I understand you're going through a difficult time right now. Could you tell me how close you were with Evelyn? A difficult time? Are you sure you're not a shrink? I already said I don't need anyone poking around in my head. No, I'm not a psychologist. I'm here to figure out what happened. Right now, my job's simply to talk to the people closest to Evelyn. If you're looking for people closest to her, you got the wrong door. You want Sophie. Didn't have anything to do with Evelyn. Why not? You were on the same swimming team and in the same class on top of that. Annie rolled her eyes as if I just asked the most idiotic question imaginable. She flopped down the edge of the bed at the opposite bed, every inch of her radiating irritation. Being on the same team doesn't mean you have to be friends with everyone. Why would I bother with her? We had nothing in common except the pool. She had that dead fish stare, never said a word, just stood there gawking at everyone, and she loved sticking her nose where it didn't belong. Oh goodness. What do you mean by sticking her nose where it didn't belong? Annie's reaction was instant. Her eyes went wide as she only just realized she said those words out loud. She straightened up sharply and clenched her fists. Nothing specific, it's just, you know the type, always noticing everything, filing it away, then using it against you. That was her. Studying everyone like bugs under a microscope. Clearly some history behind those words, but will Annie share it? Doesn't seem particularly well disposed toward me right now. Did Evelyn have any conflicts with anyone else? Perhaps with one of her classmates or your coach? Nothing like that. Did you see her yesterday afternoon? Did she seem low or perhaps agitated? I told you we didn't talk. I didn't see her. Besides, I don't keep tabs on what everyone else is up to. I've got enough of my own things to worry about. I took my notebook from inside my pocket and made a brief note. The scratch of pencil on paper sounded unusually loud in the silence of the room. Annie shifted restfully on the bed, her gaze darted to the notebook and back to my face. I was told you found Evelyn in the changing room. What brought you to the pool at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night? Annie went completely still. A tense silence settled over the room, broken only by the ticking of the clock on the wall. Seconds stretched into eternity before she finally reacted. The girl leaped off the bed, her face twisting with fury. Despite her small frame, Annie looked terrifying. Are you accusing me of something? Who do you even think what you are? A cop? I don't see any badge. You had no right to interrogate me. Aren't you a little small to be talking like that? I'm just trying to figure out what happened. Damn. What do you think? I guess I'll be nice and not say that. Responding to her aggression with a reproach would be pointless. I'm unlikely to get anywhere that way. Annie Harper reminds me of a feral kitten that's learned to expect a hand that strikes rather than strokes, so it hisses at everyone on principle. To get any information, I need to stay calm and not take her out personally. You're right, this isn't an interrogation. I'm just trying to piece together what happened. If I ask something uncomfortable, we can move on to something else. I'm not here to accuse anyone, I'm here to understand what happened. But she is small. You're right. She is small. She's very Toradora. Annie blinked, clearly not having expected that response. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, though her gaze remained guarded. She slowly sank back down her bed, averting her eyes and avoiding eye contact. When we spoke again, her voice was quieter, uncertainty sleeping through the performance of toughness. I forgot my towel in the changing room. I wanted to wash it before tomorrow's practice, nothing special, and just went in and found her. Sorry for being rude, just this whole situation. You know, Evelyn may have been a little odd, but she wasn't a bad person. Thanks for being honest with me, Annie. If you remember anything else or just want to talk, call me anytime. Day or night, doesn't matter. Took my business card from inside my jacket pocket and held it out for her. Annie took the card, nodded slightly, tucking it into the pocket of her uniform. I got up and headed for the door. Quietly pulling the door shut behind me, I stepped into the hallway. At that moment, my phone vibrated in my pocket. Oh, I guess a text from Nika. Took out my phone, saw a message. Girls' room numbers. Number 63, Annie Harper and Mickey Elderwood. 65 is Evelyn Frost and Sophie Williams. And 73 is Vivian Devereaux. I raced welcome with Annie, and Mickey wasn't in her room, so I knocked over to Sophie Williams, Evelyn's roommate. Straightened my tie and headed down the hallway towards room 65. Reaching the door, I knocked. No one answered. Waited a few seconds, knocked again, harder this time. Silence. I tried the handle, but the door was locked. Sophie must be in class, or simply doesn't want to see anyone after everything that happened. Glancing at the list again, I decided to try the room of a student named Vivian Devereaux. The girl's surname seemed vaguely familiar to me. Continued down the hallway past identical doors with plain numbered plaques. However, when I reached door 73, it stood out noticeably from the rest. Below the number was an elegant illustration of a crowned lion. Judging by the style and craftsmanship, a family coat of arms. Knock, knock. I knocked, and almost immediately a woman's voice came from behind the door. Come in. Stepping into the room, I couldn't help but freeze in surprise. Instead of a standard school dormitory furnishings, I found something that was more resembling a 5-star hotel suite. Well, hello there. On a large bed, I noticed the room's occupant, a graceful girl in a silk robe. She stretched gracefully like a Disney princess who had just woken from sleep. The girl stepped lightly off the bed and took a step in my direction. Miss Devereaux? The words left my lips unexpectedly formally. Damn, why am I being so formal? She's the same age as Annie. This is a bad time. I can come back later. It's quite all right. Please come in. Vivian gestured towards a small ottoman, then settled herself at the vanity table. I accepted the invitation, taking the details of the room as I did. A private room with a double bed and a vanity table for a student? Even if in an elite school there's a hierarchy, and Vivian Devereaux is clearly at the top of it. You're Mr. Crawford, I take it? I apologize for my appearance. I slept poorly last night and ended up dozing off. Vivian turned to face me, crossing one leg over the other. Struck me as charming. Good lord, this is not the kind of meeting I planned for. I may be a detective, but first and foremost, I'm a man. And I can't help noticing that Vivian Devereaux is a rare beauty. When a girl like that greets you in a semi-transparent robe, any man would lose his head. Besides, the age gap between us isn't all that great. Sorry for barging in. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting such an unusual welcome. Right? Hopefully our conversations won't take long and you'll be able to get back to resting. My smile came out warmer than was appropriate for an official interview. Vivian answered with her subtle curve of her lips. Something tells me we'll find a common language, so I won't mind in the least if our conversation runs a little long. I froze, watching with unwilling fascination as Vivian coyly tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. It took me a moment to collect myself, remember why I'd come here in the first place. Took out my notebook, signaling that the time for pleasantries was over. It's time to get to the point of my visit. You probably already know why I'm here. You understand what happened to Evelyn Frost. Any information could prove useful, even if it seems insignificant at first. A dreadful tragedy. I haven't been able to find my footing since I learned that our Evelyn is gone. I even thought about going home, shook me so deeply, but I decided to stay. The girls need support, especially Sophie. I saw her this morning, poor thing. She's beside herself. They were so close. Hard to accept the loss of someone close. You always wonder what could have been done to prevent it. Sometimes people make decisions that are beyond our power to prevent. You speak as though you're not particularly surprised that Evelyn took her own life. Have you noticed anything unusual in her behavior recently? Evelyn and I never had heart-to-heart conversations, of course. If we'd been friends, I would have noticed something was wrong and flagged it immediately. But given her that we didn't interact, it's hard for me to say whether anything changed in her. What stopped you from finding common ground? You've been in the same class for several years. You've rated the second number classmates to mention that she was difficult to get close to. May I be candid with you, Mr. Crofton? Please, that's exactly what I like. She's never reached out to people, and people never reached out to her. It's as simple as that. As for me, don't misunderstand. I had no particular bias against Evelyn. I simply don't socialize with any of my classmates. To me, they're children. We have very little in common. Are you the same age? I'm speaking more in terms of psychological maturity. I've always found the company of more mature people far more interesting. Prefer to discuss things of greater substance than prom dresses. When did you last see Evelyn? I think it was Saturday. Yes, that's right. She came up to me, asked whether I'd seen Annie Harper. Do you know why she was looking for her? No idea. She simply asked about Annie, said I hadn't seen her, and she left. You think the pressure could have played a role in what happened to Evelyn? I know she's a top student and the best on the swim team. Perhaps her parents or Coach Sam Rivers were expecting too much from her, and Evelyn didn't want that. Something flickered in Vivian's eyes, a quick, almost imperceptible shadow. For a fraction of a second, her mask of social composure slipped. Then the smile returned, wider than before, but with something strained and mechanical about it. I know nothing about her parents. As for Coach Rivers, she wouldn't do that. Vivian straightened sharply in her seat. Her face remained composed, but her tense posture betrayed a desire to end the conversation. Mr. Crofter, I understand that you're looking for answers, but I'm afraid I'm not the person who can provide them. My knowledge of Evelyn extends no further than the fact that she swam well and said little. Thank you regardless, any information is useful to me. I have one more question. Rose to my feet, no hurry to continue. Years of experience taught me that silence can draw out more truth than a dozen questions. Watching Vivian, I noticed how she froze in the unnatural stillness, not a movement, not a breath, as if someone had pressed pause on her. That reaction speaks volumes, and the most obvious reading is that Vivian is afraid about to ask her something uncomfortable. Do you happen to know where I can find Sophie Williams? I knocked on her door, but no one answered. Realizing the question had nothing to do with her personally, Vivian relaxed and smiled again, this time more genuinely. On Mondays, Sophie usually has private swimming practice. I know because I have the same session right after hers. So she's most likely at the pool right now. Thank you, I'll look for her there then. I closed my notebook and stood up. Vivian rose after me and moved toward the door to see me out. While I reached for the door handle, it wouldn't give, as if it were locked. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, the handle is faulty. They can't seem to get it replaced, though I've grown used to it. To open, you have to pull the door towards you, then press the handle down. Allow me to show you. Vivian glided to the door and leaned forward slightly, demonstrating the trick with the lock. The moment, the collar of her robe slightly parted, and noticed a dark mark on her chest. Until now, the mark had been hidden by the fabric, but it was clearly visible now that she leaned forward. Worth a closer look, or would that be inappropriate? Let's look more closely. What do y'all think? Is this a clue? Is this a very important clue we must ask about? Well, it seems our elegant lady has secrets. It's clearly a love bite, not a random bruise. Judging by the vivid color, it's quite fresh. Nika mentioned that only students of legal age are allowed to leave school grounds, and Vivian isn't 18 yet, which means whoever left the mark is someone here inside the school. As I looked away, doing my best to make it seem natural. I fixed my attention on the door handle and feigned complete absorption in the process of opening it. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Vivian hurriedly adjusting the collar of her robe. Thanks for your help, and for the information about Sophie as well. Anytime, Mr. Crofton. I hope you find the answers you're looking for. If you need any further information, you know where to find me. Leaving Vivian's room, I head towards the pool along the same route Sam had showed me earlier. Past the familiar turns, went down to the first floor and pushed through the double doors, where the distinct smell of chlorine greeted me again. By the pool, I noticed a girl who was settled at the edge of it with her back to my... She had settled on the edge with her back to me, legs dangling in the water. I walked along the poolside, but the girl didn't react at all to the sound of my footsteps. Sorry to disturb you. Are you Sophie Williams? Girl startled so violently that she nearly slipped into the water. She spun around sharply. God, you scared me. I didn't hear you come up. Quickly wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, brushing away tears. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I'm James Crofton. I was told I could find you here. Ah, you're the detective. The principal warned us you'd be asking questions. There were no wariness or hostility in her voice, only exhaustion and sadness. Grabbed a rubber mat and settled down beside Sophie on the pool's edge, keeping a respectful distance. Sophie pulled her knees to her chest and absently trailed her foot through the water. Miss Rivers gave us the day off today, but I couldn't stand lying in the room any longer. Every time I turned around, I see Avi's side, her books, her clothes, her everything. I decided to come here. The water calms me down. Were you and Evelyn close? Yes, Avi and I were best friends. She's wonderful. So sensitive and kind, even if most people don't see it. She just doesn't know how to show her feelings. She's always keeps everything inside. Sophie's speaking about Evelyn in the present tense. She probably still can't accept her death. The girl took a deep breath, trying to hold back the oncoming sobs, but her chin betrayed her with a tremor. A single tear rolled down her cheek, and Sophie quickly wiped it away with her hand. Sophie, I'm sorry to have to ask, but I need to. What do you think this could have driven Evelyn to do something like that? Sophie turned to me sharply, her eyes blazing. Avi couldn't have. I don't believe it. She never would have done that. I know her better than anyone. If something was troubling her, something that serious, I would have noticed. If you don't believe it was suicide, then what do you think happened? Good question. Those hips don't lie. I've been asking myself that since last night, but I don't have an answer. When Avi didn't come back to the room that evening, I immediately felt something was wrong. Everything felt like a dream, a terrible, horrible dream. I was already about to go looking for her, but Miss Preston got there before me. I can't even remember what she said exactly. When she walked into our room and I saw her face, I knew instantly that something terrible had happened. Sophie closed her eyes and let out a long, audible breath. Most people I've spoken to say Evelyn was quite a closed-off person. Do you think it's possible she wasn't telling you everything? Sophie's gaze drifted aimlessly across the surface of the pool as she gathered her thoughts. Stone says she's like 60% thighs. That she is. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I really have been too focused on my own problems lately and haven't been spending enough time with Avi. What kind of friend does that make me? Fresh wave of emotions swept over Sophie. She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. Asked questions, tried to comfort her with words, just put her arm around her. Could remain indifferent watching the girl curl up so helplessly, choking on her tears. Gently put an arm around Sophie. Sophie, it isn't your fault. Sometimes people hide their pain so deeply that even the closest to them can't see it. We'll get to the bottom of what happened, I promise. Sophie went still, but didn't pull away from my touch. Her shoulders gradually stopped trembling. Thank you. And know that you're not alone. If you want to talk, I'm here. She looked up and the faint but genuine smile appeared on her lips. You're not what I imagined you'd be like. And what did you imagine I'd be like? I don't know, a cold professional who doesn't care about people? My dog was being a menace right now. I'm sorry, Stoned. She let out a quiet sigh as if gathering herself, then carefully removed her hand, not abruptly, but with a certain fragile gentleness. I know you're not here to comfort me. You want to understand what happened to Avi. I'm ready to tell you everything I know. Do you know why Evelyn went to the pool yesterday with evening at all? Did you see her when she left? Last time I saw her was after dinner yesterday. I'm not sure, but I think she mentioned she wanted to talk to Miss Rivers about something. Doggo, he just found a random sock and he threw it and took off running and now barking at the cat. Oh no! Calm down, Doggo. It's too late for that. I think Sam said she spent the evening in her room. You need to speak with her again and find out whether Evelyn came to see her yesterday. You two are roommates, right? After dinner, it was Evelyn who left, or you. Those words, something shifted in Sophie's manner. Her shoulders tensed and her eyes began to dart around. I stayed in the room. First I was in the room preparing for a test, then I went to dinner. I came back. No, I didn't come straight back. I stopped by the library to pick up some materials. I was ready in the room when Avi left. It was around 6, yes, or maybe later. I think I already said that. So you did see Evelyn then. Leave then. Sophie's gaze slid across the walls, ceilings, the water, anywhere but to me. He throws tantrum sometimes, but it's adorable. Aw. Adorable doggy tantrum. That sounds adorable. That sounds fun. She began methodically. Her story is not very well put together, that's for sure. She's not remembering yesterday's events very well. She began methodically winding strands of hair around her index finger, then straightening them, then winding them again. Yes, no, I mean, I was in the room when she was getting ready, but then I had to return some books. I probably left her before her. Or she left first. I don't remember exactly. It was such a hectic day. She's definitely hiding something. First she claimed she saw Evelyn around 6. Now she's getting confused about whether she was even in the room at that point. What exactly is Sophie trying to hide? That she went somewhere? Or that she saw someone with Evelyn? Maybe she knows more about where her roommate was headed. I won't push her, but better to change the subject and come back to this later when I have more to go on. What about her family? Did Evelyn ever tell you anything about her parents, about their relationship? She has a wonderful family. I personally met Mr. and Mrs. Frost. They're good people and they love Avie very much. I stayed with them for a week at the end of the summer, before school started. They live in a beautiful house on the coast. While Sophie was talking about Evelyn's family, I felt a phone vibrate in my trouser pocket. It was an awkward moment to be distracted, but it could have been something important for the investigation. Thank you for being so open with me, Sophie. What you have shared has clarified a great deal. I need to keep moving with the investigation, but I'd like to come back to our conversation later if that's alright with you. Sophie nodded slowly. Of course. Gave her a farewell nod and headed for the exit. At the door I turned back. Sophie was still sitting on the edge of the pool, feet in the water. Sophie's like an open book, but with a few pages torn out. On the surface, a sincere and sensitive girl grieving for her friend. But those inconsistencies about timing, the nervousness, she's clearly not telling me everything. Maybe Sophie just touched a frightened girl who lost her best friend. It's too early to draw conclusions, but she's worth keeping an eye on. Nika says, how are things going? Have you talked to any of the girls? Stepping into the hallway, I took out the phone and read a message from Nika. How's it going? Have you managed to talk to the girls? I've spoken with Annie, Vivian, and Sophie. The only one I couldn't track down was Mickey Elderwood. Mickey's in the library, second floor, west wing. Talk to her, then come to my office. We should be hearing from forensic examiner soon. Alright, go talk to Mickey now. Following the route indicated in the message, I made my way to the library. Beyond the heavy oak door, silence greeted me, broken only by the rustling of pages and the faintest of whispers. A few girls sat at the tables, absorbed in their books. Now which one of you is Mickey? I unzipped my bag and pulled out my notebook, where I already tucked in photos of the students I'd spoken to. Flipping through the pages, I noticed that there was no photo of Mickey Elderwood. Rummaging through the side pocket, I spotted a lone photo that had slipped into that very corner. It must have fallen out when I was sorting the others. Picking it up, I took a careful look at the image. Wait a minute. I seen her today. She's the girl I ran into in the hallway when I was looking for Nika's office. What a coincidence. Scanning the library carefully, I quickly spotted who I was looking for. Mickey Elderwood was settled into the far corner, barricaded behind stacks of books. The girl hadn't lifted her eyes from the page, completely lost to the world around her. I stopped at Mickey's table and waited a few seconds, but she was so engrossed in her reading that she didn't even notice I was there. Hello again. The girl jerked her head up, her eyes, magnified behind the glasses, gone wide with surprise. Seeing me, she instinctively snapped the book shut and adjusted her slipping glasses with a practiced motion. Her cheeks instantly flushed red, the color spreading all the way to the tips of her ears. You? Hello. She glanced around, quickly, as if checking whether I was truly talking to her or not someone else. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a few girls at the neighboring tables look up from their textbooks and watch us with undisguised curiosity. Mickey noticed the stares too, and her embarrassment only deepened. May I? I nodded towards an empty chair across from her. Mickey hastily swept her papers aside and gave a nervous nod. Of course, please. I sat down across from her and immediately noticed the books she had shut so hurriedly. The cover bore the title Mysticism Under the Microscope, a scientific analysis of paranormal phenomena. Another curious book with a strange title. Unusual reading material. Is this part of some unconventional curriculum or a personal interest? This is not exactly for class. It's a way of calming myself down, if that makes any sense. Though I do realize it's completely irrational and goes against all common sense. Mickey nervously flipped through the pages of the book without lifting her eyes. Her fingers were trembling slightly. You seeing something paranormal? Yes, well, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, there was someone standing in my room last night, in the dark. That was just my imagination, but it felt so real. Was it Evelyn you were seeing? The girl nodded, embarrassed, confirmed my guess. How am I doing on my pictures? I'm doing good on my pictures. I'm just trying to see where in the world is the... Where can I find out about people who played the demo? If I click on the people, will something happen? Click the pen. Take the pen. Tip of the pen. Oh, next ad break in about a minute, y'all. Next ad break in about a minute. She had a hickey on her chest. Haha. Well, that's the list of things I said. Okay. Cool. We'll find it eventually. The girl nodded, embarrassed, confirmed my guess. It's a perfectly normal reaction to what happened. I suppose you're right, it's just that Annie scared me terribly last night. Annie? You know, she was the one who found Evelyn. When she came running to her room last night, she had these enormous wild eyes. She sat on the edge of my bed for half the night telling me terrible things. Mickey was speaking faster and faster, as if she was afraid that if she stopped, she'd lose the nerve to go on. You know, she's really into all that occult stuff. She said that those who die violently are naturally become restless souls, forever bound to the place where they died. That they can all see our secrets, all our sins. Mickey dropped her voice to nearly a whisper, glancing around nervously. After that, they come back to pass judgment on the wicked. Which means Evelyn will now roam the school punishing sinners. I know superstition, but Annie truly believes it, and she was very convincing. All those posters of hers, they always creep me out, but last night it felt like that she was staring at me the whole time. They were staring at me the whole time. Passing judgment on the wicked? Punishing sinners? Am I imagining things, or is Mickey afraid that Evelyn's spirit will come after her? Do you have something to hide? Reassure her, shadows in the corners just mine. Trust me, shadows in the corners have nothing but a trick of the mind. Everything has a rational explanation, even the strangest of things. I leaned in slightly, speaking in a gentle, reassuring tone. You know, I've studied psychology and intimidation tactics at university. Annie used classic techniques: darkness, isolation, talk to the supernatural. Though I don't think she was intentionally trying to frighten you, she was more likely wound up herself after everything that happened. In that state, the human brain is especially susceptible to suggestion. It's simple biology and psychology, nothing mystical about it. Nikki listened intently, her gaze growing more focused with each word. My explanation seemed to work on her like a sedative. Yes, you're right, and I fell for it so foolishly. You probably think I'm ridiculously naive. Not at all. I say you reacted quite sensibly. Started looking for a scientific explanation for what you experienced. And if the mysterious shadow returns, I'm at your service. Ghost hunting is my weekend hobby. I gave her a slight wink. Mickey's cheeks flushed even deeper. This time a shy smile appeared on her face. She started to relax. Good, she might be more open to talking now. After a brief pause, I decided to return to the main purpose of my visit. Mickey, I'd like to talk to you about Evelyn, to better understand what led to what happened. Can you tell me what she's like? The girl fell into thought, absently running a finger along the spine of the book. Evelyn was always quiet, a true introvert, you know, in the fullest sense. Not that I'm judging, I'm hardly a model of sociability myself. She was incredible at both academics and sports, and everything just came naturally to her. I could spend a week preparing for an exam, making hundreds of flashcards. Evelyn would just flip through the textbook between training sessions and still get the top grade. Academics, I still have a shot at keeping up, but in the pool there was no chance against Evelyn. She was simply the best. I noticed Mickey was talking about her with this obvious distress. Her voice trembled slightly and her fingers gripped the edge of the table more tightly. Coach Rivers constantly held her up as an example. Look at Evelyn. Be like Evelyn. Why can't you swim like Evelyn? And you know what? I couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. Mickey went quiet, staring into the distance. Then she sighed and shook her head. It's hard for me to understand what happened yesterday, or why. One day you have everything, a dream life, and that's just what that... And then just like that, it's gone. Mickey clearly suffered from being constantly compared to Evelyn. But did that grow into resentment, or did it stay at the level of a quiet, sad acceptance of someone else's superiority? What about the last few days? Did you notice anything unusual? Maybe Evelyn seemed upset or had an argument with someone? Actually, something did happen on Friday. She lowered her voice to a whisper, glancing around once more to make sure no one was listening. On Friday, I went to the pool. I left my chemistry textbook in the locker after morning practice. And I accidentally overheard Annie arguing with Evelyn in the changing room. Or more precisely, Annie was shouting at Evelyn. Could you hear what they were saying? I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, I promise. They were just speaking so loudly, you could hear them from the hallway. I missed the beginning of the conversation, but Annie was saying something about not sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. And how did it end? I don't know. When I walked into the changing room, they both went silent and walked away. What time was this? Around 4, I think. Mickey frowned, adjusting her glasses thoughtfully. Yes, exactly at 4. Annie had just finished her swim practice. Interesting. Annie Harper assured me she hadn't spoken to Evelyn at all. Now it turns out they didn't just speak, they actually argued. While I made notes, Mickey continued in a quiet voice. Probably shouldn't have said that. I don't want to paint anyone in a bad light or cause trouble. It was really just strange, that's all. Don't worry about it. I'm just gathering information, every little detail, every observation. It could all be important. Thank you for sharing. Mickey exhaled with obvious relief. Was there anything else that struck you as odd? Everything was mostly as usual, though, except for there was Sophie Williams. But that's probably not relevant. And any detail could turn out to be important. So what happened with Sophie? I ran into her in the hallway after dinner and asked her a perfectly normal question, whether she prepared for the chemistry test. And she just got this flustered look and ran off without a word. So unlike her, Sophie's usually very friendly and outgoing, even with me. At first glance, Sophie's behavior might have had nothing to do with the investigation, but I decided to note it down in my notebook all the same. And where were you after dinner yesterday evening? Mickey straightened up sharply, nervously adjusting her glasses, and answered quickly. After dinner, yes, I went to study and sat in the library until late. Time flies so fast, before you know it, exams are already here. She spoke too quickly, and her voice was pitched a note higher than usual. Not very convincing, that's worth looking into. The silence of the library was broken by a sharp sound of the door slamming. I turned and saw that it was the last of the students had left. Only Mickey and I remained in the library, among the endless rows of books. Oh, I'm late. She began hurriedly gathering her things, but immediately stopped, throwing me a guilty look. But of course, the investigation is far more important. I'm sure Mrs. Grimstock will understand. It's all right. I don't have any more questions for today. I don't want to be the reason you get in trouble with your teacher. With a grateful nod, Mickey began hastily packing up her textbooks. Little pencil sounds. Her movements were so rushed that her pencil case slid off the table, scattering its contents. Her glasses slid to the tip of her nose as she bent down for a fallen pen. At that moment, her forehead met the wooden edge of the table. Oh no! A muffled thud echoed through the empty library. Ow! Her cheeks instantly burned bright red. With one hand, Mickey rubbed her reddening forehead, while the other frantically stuffed the scattered pens and pencils back into the case. The girl muttered something unintelligible, clearly mortified by her own clumsiness. Take care, Mickey. Look after yourself. She paused for a moment, catching my eye. Thank you. Yes, goodbye. Clutching her backpack to her chest, Mickey hurried out of the library. I watched Mickey go, lingering in the library just long enough to make my final notes. Mickey's at 2 with me. Most of these people really like me. Leaving the library, I headed back down to the principal's office. Managed to gather quite a bit of information over the course of the day, but now every new fact only raised more questions. Mentally replayed my conversations with the students, trying to find the thread that would tie everything together. Quite a picture this is turning out to be. Every single person I spoke to is holding something back. There's the fire in the server room, too much of a coincidence. When I reached the right floor, I caught the muffled sound of Nika's voice. She was on the phone with someone. Office door was slightly ajar, and individual words managed to slip through. I understand your concern, Mr. Thornton. We're doing everything we can. All right, I'll be waiting for your call. I knocked gently on the half-open door just as Nika hung up. She turned to face me. I noticed her rubbing the bridge of her nose in exhaustion. James, finally, come in. Sit down. Any news? I walked in and settled into a familiar chair across from the desk. Nika looked worn out. The day had clearly taken its toll on her. Spoke with everyone I planned to. Plenty of information, but for now, there are more questions than answers. What about you? I heard you on the phone. It's one of the Board of Trustees members. Everyone's on edge. News about the fire started leaking out too, but that's not the most important thing right now. We need to recover the surveillance footage that was damaged in the server room fire. Speaking of data recovery, I know a specialist who might be able to help. No need, I've already taken care of it. I've trusted people who promised to help with that. You're already taking on too much as it is. At that moment, Nika's computer chimed with a notification. She turned to the monitor and watched her expression change sharply. The forensic examiner report just came in. I immediately rose from my chair and moved beside Nika to see the screen. She opened the email and we read through the document together. Among the medical terminology and formal language, I immediately lashed into the key findings of the report. The ligature mark on the neck is horizontal, which is inconsistent with a typical hanging, where an angled line would have been expected due to the tension of the noose. Pre-mortem loss of consciousness was established. Pressure was applied externally without the involvement of the body's own weight. Time of death was between 10:10 and 10:30. Nika slowly leaned back in her chair, her face gone pale. She read through the report several times as if unable to believe what was written. So it really wasn't a suicide. Are you holding up all right? Took a deep breath, clearly trying to pull herself together. Yes, I just needed some time to process it. Someone killed Evelyn, and then coldly staged it as a suicide. It means the killer is still here in this school, walking the same hallways as the students. It makes me sick to think the killer has been smiling at me every morning. It could be one of my students or staff. James, do you have any theories of who could have done this? It's only been one day, but perhaps you already have some ideas. I had to go potty real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright. Sorry about that. I just really had to go to the bathroom all of a sudden. Too early to draw any firm conclusions, and besides, the fact that it's a murder changes the whole approach to the case. Now we need to analyze not only Evelyn's state of mind, but the motives and meanings of her potential killers. I also need more time. Tomorrow I plan to conduct more interviews and also, just to tour the computer monitor, I'd also like to review the recovered camera footage if that's possible. About the cameras, my contact promised to work quickly. The first recovered files should be ready by tomorrow evening. Though not everything can be recovered, specialists sent over a list of cameras that they can work with. We need to choose which one to prioritize since each one takes a full day. Nika leaned towards the monitor and opened the email listing the available cameras. Which footage should we ask them to recover first? Today's hallways in the principal's office. Today's hallways. Server room. Agreed. Nika turned to the computer and began typing a message, then she looked up at me again. By the way, I checked the access control logs at the main gate. Evelyn hadn't left school grounds since the beginning of the academic year. She paused, furrowing her brow. And while I was going through the system, I noticed something odd. Yesterday at 8 in the evening, Sophie Williams entered the school grounds and then left at 10:30. Well, it did say she died between 10:10 and 10:30, so that is suspicious. There's no record of her leaving at any point during the day, nor any record of her returning after that late night outing. Sophie never mentioned leaving school grounds yesterday. She acted strange overall when I asked her where she'd been that evening. What bothers me even more is this discrepancy in the system. How could Sophie have entered the school while already being inside it, and left while still remaining on the grounds? Could there have been a system glitch? I don't understand it either. We were told the registration system was very reliable. Every entry and exit is logged automatically with a backup on the server. Quickly jotted a note in my notebook. Nika stood up and walked to the window, beyond which it had grown completely dark, let out a long, audible exhale. Getting quite late. Perhaps we should continue tomorrow? There's still a lot of work ahead of us. She turned to face me. If you don't mind, you're welcome to stay here for the night. There's a free room in the guest wing, given how far the city is and how the fact that we need an early start tomorrow. That's a sensible suggestion. Time really is working against us. The longer we wait, the more opportunity the killer has to cover their tracks. I'll walk you to your room. By the way, I had dinner sent there. You haven't eaten anything today. Stepped out of the office into the half-empty school hallways. The news of the murder had clearly shaken her. On top of worrying about the school's reputation, she now had to make sure nothing happened to the students. Here we are. We stopped at the door marked with the number 15. Nika unlocked it with a key, which she then handed to me. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call. You have my number. Listen, Nika, listen. I gently touched her hand, making her look up. I understand what you're going through right now, but I want you to know, we will find the killer and get to the bottom of this. I promise you that. Nika looked at our hands, then raised her eyes to my face. If you need to talk or just don't want to be alone, I'm here, anytime. Thank you, really. Thank you. You know, when I called you this morning, I was thinking only about what happened to Evelyn. I never imagined that our reunion would turn out like this. Yes, despite all these terrible circumstances, I'm glad to see you again. Nika slowly traced her finger along my knuckles and squeezed my hand one last time. Good night, James. Good night, Nika. Turned the handle and stepped to the guest room, closing the door behind me. On the nightstand beside the bed sat a tray of dinner that had already gone cold. Before I sit down to eat, I should make a call to an old friend. Ring, ring. Pulled out the phone and scrolled through my contacts to a familiar name, Andy. Daniel Parkinson, Kib Charnel, Mano Nyan, Macron the Senpai, Lord of Mystery, Play Game Screes, Mr. Mund, Case. Is this where is it contacts? Maybe we'll see after this. I feel like this is where. Sorry. Andy was an old friend from summer camp and now worked in intelligence and analytics department. Over the years, we bailed on each other out of more than once. Through every time we worked together, I had to put up with his constant grumbling and endless sarcasm. Pressed a call, leaned back against the headboard, and waited. After the third ring, a familiar voice came through. Well, well, James Crofton in the flesh. Let me guess, you finally decided to buy me that beer? His voice was cheerful. I could hear him chewing. He's probably having dinner. Not this time, buddy, but help me out with something. I owe you one. Sure, you already owe me a couple of cases. What's the last time you called just to chat? Am I saved in your phone as Andy Problem Solver or something? Andy's voice carried his usual good-natured irony. Although you know what? I'm actually flattered. So I am so good that James Crofton himself calls me when he's in trouble. You're not as irreplaceable as you think. Others just had the sense not to pick up after hours. Ah, I see, so I'm the last hope of a desperate man. Even better. Andy laughed, and I knew his mood had fully lifted. Alright, tell me what happened to this time. Long story short, I need you to run a background check on a few people, some students, and a swimming coach. Meaningful pause hung on the other end of the line. I could almost picture Andy raising an eyebrow. Then he burst out laughing so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. You dog, you're on vacation. You're hanging out with some girls and didn't invite me? What kind of friend does that? Andy, this is actually a business. Yesterday, Nika called and asked me to investigate a suicide at the school where she's the principal, which, as it turns out, was actually a murder. Nika, I've heard that name before. We're both at Bear Rock Camp. No way, that Nika from camp? The green-haired girl you were so crazy about? The very same. No kidding. I figured you lost her contact ages ago. Remember how you went crazy when she disappeared after camp? What a reunion. Make sure to say hi from me. Will do, when I see her. But for now, can you help me with some information on the suspects? Andy let out a heavy sigh, and I knew the usual whining about risks and complications was about to begin. James, buddy, the thing is, I've been looking this up outside of any official case. And you know as well as I do that running checks without a case is risky. If they see me I'm looking at people outside my official case, they could fire me. Andy's voice grew increasingly pitiful, his classic move whenever he wanted to negotiate better terms. Got a new department head now, and he's incredibly thorough. Checks every single request. Andy, please figure something out for old time's sake. I'm critically short on information to understand what's even going on here. I only got 3 days left. A long pause. I could almost physically feel Andy weighing the pros and cons. You understand that if I get caught, I'll have to say I did this at your request. I understand. Prepare to take the responsibility. Fine, but for a favor like this, you clearly owe me not a couple of beers, but a couple of cases. Good beer. Now that's not some cheap stuff. And dinner at that steakhouse we've been eyeing for ages. Deal. You really saved me here, Andy. Damn, you agreed so fast. I should have asked for more. Though, alright. I'm actually curious what kind of story you've got going on over there. But to avoid suspicion, I can only run one of them per day. I've got a contact in the archives here who can accidentally stumble upon the right information during routine work. You don't have much time, so choose wisely. Who do you need first? Tell me about Sam. Got it. I'll call you tomorrow once I manage to dig something up. Thanks again. We said our goodbyes and put the phone on the nightstand. Talking with Andy, as always, lifted my spirits. It's good to hear a familiar voice and remember that there were people you can count on. Taking my jacket off and loosening my tie, I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at my cold dinner. I had no appetite, but I needed to eat. Tomorrow's going to be a tough day. I wonder, where will all this lead me to? Morning light streaming through the tall windows woke me up at 9. Well, I usually get up around 7 without an alarm. Yesterday must have really worn me out. Quickly getting myself together, I head to Nika's office, plans for the days already swirling in my head. Need to find out the results of the fire investigation and look for evidence. Anything that might help me understand what happened on Sunday evening. Dang, I wish I had no appetite sometimes. It's very rare when I don't, that's for sure. I have to really not be feeling good to not have an appetite. I have a little idea, but I'm not sure if Nika will agree. There are no students in the school's corridors. The silence is almost impressive. Students must all be in class already, not a soul in the corridor. Well, that works in my favor. Approaching the now familiar door to the principal's office, I knocked. The typing sounds. Nika was sitting at her desk, intently typing something on the computer. The keys clicked in a rapid rhythm. She was clearly hurrying to finish some important letter. When I appeared, Nika looked up. Her eyes betrayed a weariness that even her skillfully applied makeup couldn't conceal. Good morning, James. Any news? There is. Settled into a familiar chair across from the desk, Nika turned away from the monitor and looked at me intently. I spoke with the fire investigation experts. What happened in the server room was definitely arson. They set fire to the trash bin after moving it to the next to the servers. That bin's usually kept off to the side. Someone deliberately moved it. What's more, the traces of acetone was found in the trash. Quite a lot of it, actually. Acetone? Seriously? Yes, the main ingredient in nail polish remover. In a girls' school, it's easy to find. Half the students have it in their makeup bags. What do they use to light it? That's where it gets interesting. Lighters, matches, and anything flammable or explosive aren't strictly prohibited in our school. Someone broke the rules and smuggled in a lighter? Nika got up from the desk and began slowly pacing the office, massaging her shoulder. Nika, I have a request, a rather delicate one. Stopped in the middle of the office, turning to me with a wary expression. Well, out with it. Need to search the girls' rooms. Her action was predictable. Nika stopped and frowned. I understand her hesitation. Secretly searching the rooms of students and staff is a risky endeavor. James, you understand I can't allow this. If anyone finds out I let you go through the girls' personal belongings. We're running out of time, Nika. To figure out what happened, I'll have to ask a lot of questions, dig deeper. Sooner or later, they'll realize that we're not investigating a suicide. Then the panic will start. Once it becomes clear that Evelyn was murdered, your students will start getting rid of anything that might look suspicious. Letters, diaries, photographs, it'll all go in the trash. I turned to Nika, meeting her gaze. Think about it. These girls come from influential families. They've known since childhood that any information can be used against them. Coach Rivers isn't stupid either, and she won't want to lose her cushy position. At the slightest hint of a scandal, they'll start cleaning house. Nika kept pacing the office, but her steps became more measured. I could see her weighing the pros and cons. We need to keep the fact that this is a murder secret for as long as possible. Well, damn, she looks mad. I'm asking a lot. What's up, Blood Rose? Good to see you, Rose. Hey, buddy. Yeah, we are in a visual novel where we're a smooth investigator guy who's investigating a murder of a girl at an all-private girls' rich academy in the middle of nowhere. And we're asking to go through the girls' belongings to see how a fire was started in the server room that would give evidence to the cameras about what happened the night of the murder. And she's basically trying to get her to agree to let us search the girls' rooms for murder suspects items. Doing awesome. I love visual novels, love doing the voice acting for characters. I don't got that in me tonight. I'm just kind of doing my own my regular voice, but sometimes it's fun to do different voices for sure. But right now it's just Jordan reading Jordan's voice for everybody. Let them think we believe it was a suicide and that the server room fire was an accident or a wiring malfunction. Lull them into a false sense of security. Hey! That's okay, you got a great voice even so. Thanks, Rose, I appreciate it. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you for the raid. That means Maddie gets a treat. Maddie! Case closed, case closed, case closed. We're here from Vivian Stream, ready to solve Rose Academy's mysteries with Midwest Game Guy raid! Thank you so much, Vivian. Give you a shout. Puppy gets fat. That's right. Let me grab the puppy here. I was going to shout out myself. Alright, Vivian, what were you playing tonight? Let me go get a Maddie here. Woo, shout out. Alright, Maddie. Maddie, baby. I gotta hurry before that starts. Maddie, come here. Ah. Well, thank you very much for the raid there, Vivi. You know, if you get a raid, follow, a sub, anything like that. And the channel bits donation. That means Maddie gets a treat, so. Good girl. I love you. I'm sorry for waking you, but I gotta reward you for good things happening, okay? I love you. You can go back to mama, okay? Good girl. Schedule 1 because 420. Let's get dog fat. Indeed. She's a good girl indeed. She. Do 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 do. Yahoo! Raid! Thanks again for the raid, Vivian. Appreciate it. I know Maddie does. Maddie always appreciates that random treat. She probably has no idea why she gets treats during these shows, but I'm sure she appreciates it all the same, so. I had to wake up the sleepy girl, but she enjoyed it, so thank you, Vivian, for getting Maddie a treat there.
Love you like a movie trailer. 60 seconds of highlights, and then coming soon.
Alright. Time for some good entertainment. You got it, buddy. I can throw that up for you. Give me 1 second. Let me save this real quick. I'm just going to do this real quick. Did you want me to play it again for the people who have ads there, Harles, or did you just want it to be special for you and the ones who don't have to do ads? I'm happy to play the channel trailer again if you'd like to respect your redeem there, buddy. So you let me know what you want, and I'm happy to play it again once the ad break is over in like a few seconds. I don't care about the ad, but fair enough. That was something special for you. Like sometimes my ads are in Spanish. Pregunta? Okay. I'm gonna lull them into a false sense of security. You guys are great. Thank you so much for the raids and coming by and talking to me and the redeems, of course. Thank you, Harles, for the awesome channel trailer redeem. Appreciate it. You spending your hard-earned corny coins. So, thank you for being awesome. Was it a good Spanish ad there, Valen? Exactly. I'm trying to get closer to the suspects. If you feel comfortable around me, they might let something slip. Firstly, I can't give you permission to search the rooms. You understand? If this comes out, I won't just be fired. They could press criminal charges. But hypothetically, if someone happened to leave the room keys on the desk, if someone stepped out on urgent business without noticing they were missing, she gave me a meaningful look. And someone else would be very grateful for that forgetfulness. Oh. Just keep one thing in mind, James. If you get caught, we'll both be in enormous trouble. I'll be careful as a bomb the disposal tech. I hope so, because we won't get a second chance. I heard the keys get thrown on the desk. Going to get some food. I have the munchies. Have fun, Vivian. Good luck getting those munchies satisfied. Valen says, what was that? What was about audible or something? I only seen a few words. Lurk. Thanks for the lurk, Vivian. Appreciate it. Hey, you got the main point, sounds like, Valen. She opened the top drawer and took out a set of keys, pointedly placing them on the very edge of the desk where they couldn't be missed. She then just as pointedly turned to the window, as if looking at something outside. I took the hint and quickly grabbed the set, stuffing it into my pants pocket. By the way, do you have the girls' schedules for today? Of course, I printed out a fresh copy this morning. I had a feeling it would come in handy. Nika went to the stack of papers on the desk and, finding the right sheet, handed it to me. Scanning the lines, I noticed that many of the girls had gaps of free time. Quite a few free hours. Is that normal? Yes, the girls in the swim team are getting some slack this week. I've been excused from some subjects that won't be on the final exams. She pointed a finger at the schedule. But during those free hours, they might be in their rooms. So it's better to act when they're in your class. They're in their class. You think if I speak more Japanese while I'm around my phone, I'll get Japanese out? Yeah, I think if you speak more of a certain language, they're like, oh, they must be engaged in this language, so they must want to see things related to this language. I think it's a good chance. Let me know what let me know how your project goes, and see if you see any real results with that. Say konnichiwa, Siri. Domo arigato. Oh yeah, using a VPN perhaps could give you different ads as well, and ads in different languages. That's true. Nope. Makes sense. And what about Coach Rivers? Where is she supposed to be right now? Sam only has swim team practice today. According to the schedule, she should be at the pool during girls' sessions. Nika leaned toward me, looking at the table. Her hair slightly brushed my shoulder. Sam's training session with Annie Harper will start soon, but I should warn you, Miss Rivers doesn't always stick to the plan. What do you mean? She sometimes wanders off during practice. I've caught her in the hallway a few times when she's supposed to be running sessions at the pool. And what did she say? Various excuses, and on Friday she canceled the last session without warning, left on personal business. Did you reprimand her? Of course, but my words don't seem to make much of an impression of her. Even though Sam is an excellent swim coach, her discipline leaves something to be desired. You know, sometimes I feel like she doesn't see me as a superior. Nope, coworkers were speaking Spanish around me earlier today, so I probably picked up on that. Oh! You have to let us know if your theory will be correct, but it sounds like you're on the right track there, Valen, to this mystery. As she said this, Nika couldn't hide a slight hint of hurt in her eyes, in her voice. There's my wife's over there. Being a principal at such a young age means constantly having to prove your authority. I've dealt with that kind of attitude more than once myself. Then first things first, I'll check whether Miss Rivers is actually running a session with Annie right now, and then I'll figure out the rest based on the schedule. At that moment, there was a gentle knock on the door. Opening it slightly, she accepted a large paper bag from someone that smelled of food. Wonderful, thank you so much. Closing the door, she returned to her desk looking pleased. Breakfast. I asked to have it brought here. I didn't want to make a scene in the dining hall. Smart. The less visible we are, the better. Unwrapping the bag, Nika took out several food containers and 3 cups of drinks. The aroma of fresh coffee and fried bacon instantly filled the office, reminding me that I hadn't had breakfast yet. I didn't know what you like, so I asked for a classic set and 2 kinds of coffee to choose from. Opened the first box. Top was an omelet, a couple of bacon strips, and crispy toast. Looks delicious. My school never had breakfast like this, or coffee either. Well, we don't offer coffee to the students either, but we put in a coffee machine for the staff. These past 2 days, caffeine is the only thing to keep me on my feet. Nika took 1 cup for herself and pushed the remaining 2 coffees and food towards me. Not a breakfast person? I just can't eat it all. My stomach is tied in knots. I understand. Stress doesn't do much for your appetite. Nika sat down across from me, exhaling loudly. Looked up and met her eyes. She was looking right at me. For a few moments, we silently gazed into each other's eyes. 1 second, then another. Any longer, this would have been more than just a professional exchange. Ooh. Nika was the first to look away. James, listen. Maybe we could meet for dinner tonight? Not here, of course. We could go somewhere. Harlequin says she can't have breakfast or else those... Yes, indeed. She can't have breakfast or else those huge honkers might get bigger. Oh no. Are you saying that's a bad thing? Listen, maybe we can meet for dinner tonight. Not here, of course. Maybe we could go somewhere. Her invitation came out quickly and haltingly, as if she wanted to say it before she changed her mind. I know you're here on business and you have a lot on your plate, but I'd like to treat you to something better than cafeteria food. And besides, you're doing so much for the school, for me. I'd like to show my gratitude somehow. And honestly, I need to forget about this whole nightmare for at least a couple of hours. Take my mind off things. Talk about something else. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind. How can I turn down an offer like that, especially when it involves good food and your company? I think the investigation will survive a couple of hours without me. Aw. Wonderful. Then let's meet at 8. I know a cozy little Italian restaurant half an hour's drive from the school. Having finished breakfast, I checked my watch. 9:45, 15 minutes till the next class begins. Meanwhile, Nika had gone back to reviewing some documents on her computer. Thanks for breakfast. Mind if I take a second coffee to go? Of course, take it. And please be careful. Don't worry, it's not hot anymore. I won't burn myself. Nika rolled her eyes, but the corners of her lips betrayed the faintest smile. Oh. First, I should check the pool. Last thing I need is to run into Sam somewhere in the dormitory hallway. She'll be all over me if that's the case. Electronic lock scanned my face with a soft beep and unlocked the pool door. Stepping inside, I found myself in an empty room. Neither Sam nor Annie was anywhere to be seen. I walked a little further and noticed the door to the coach's office was ajar. Moving closer, I carefully peeked inside. Uh-oh. What I saw looked both amusing and alarming at the same time. Annie was standing on tiptoes on a wobbly chair, trying to reach the top shelf, her nose scrunched up in concentration as she muttered quietly in frustration. Could have shoved it even further back. Who even makes shelves this high? Distracted, Toradora had a bad time. I accidentally bumped the door with my elbow, causing it to creak open wider. The sound made the girl whip around. It all happened so fast I didn't have time to react. Toradora hit the ground with a giant thud. Surprised and her unstable position did their work, Annie lost her balance, knocking a framed photograph off the shelf with her hand in the process. In an instant, the small coach's office turned to a scene of chaos. A broken frame, shards of glass, a toppled chair, and Annie lying on the floor. Nice. Damn, careful you don't move suddenly. Are you badly hurt? I rushed to the fallen girl. Her face showed a mixture of pain, anger, and acute embarrassment. I'm fine. Don't look at me like that. It's just the stupid cabinet. Annie started getting up from the floor, bracing herself on her hands. Oh, she got a bruise there. But she suddenly stopped and grabbed the back of her head. Don't get up yet. Let me take a look. I told you I'm fine. Ignoring her protest, I set up the coffee cup in the corner of the desk and walked over to examine the bruised spot. Crouching down, I found what I was looking for. A small bump had already formed the back of her head. Nothing serious, it seems. My gaze slid lower and something else caught my attention. On the girl's back, around her shoulder blades, and along her spine, there were purple-blue bruises. Definitely not from today's fall. Judging by the color, the bruises are at least 3 or 4 days old. The shape looks like marks from hitting a floor or a wall. Did she fall on her own? Or are these signs of a fight? My thoughts were interrupted by Annie's impatient voice. So what's there? Am I bleeding or something? She reached for the back of her head again, checking the bruised spot. At that moment, I noticed another alarming detail. The girl's right wrist, there was another bruise, darker and more distinct. Its shape suspiciously resembled fingerprints, as if someone had grabbed her arm very tightly. Didn't notice this mark yesterday. Her wrist was hidden under her sleeve. Bruises on her back plus fingernail marks on her wrists. There's no longer looks like an accidental fall. Noticing the direction of my gaze, Annie hastily pulled her hand away and quickly stood up, backing away. Ow! The girl let out a stifled cry and hopped up, pulling on one leg in. She lifted one foot, and I saw a sharp piece of glass embedded in her bare sole. Ooh! Ouchie magouchie. What do you think about that, Mom? Bare glass in your foot?
Her soul.
In the sole of her foot? Annie's face tensed up. She squinted and sucked in air through her teeth. Do me a favor and stand still for a couple seconds. Annie grimaced and shot me a hostile squint. Toradora screamed at me. Ignoring her displeasure, I started pushing the shards aside with the toe of my shoe. Let's get you to the coach. I walked up to Annie with resolve and put my arm around her waist. Hey, what are you doing? Either we walk to the couch together, or I carry you there. No third option. Decide quickly. I said that incorrectly, didn't I? I meant glass in her bare foot. Sorry. Bare glass in your foot as opposed to clothed glass. Yeah, stained glass is more clothed than bare glass. I meant glass in the bare foot. My bad. I got my words all mixed up. Seeing the resolve in my eyes, Annie blushed and reluctantly placed her hand on my shoulder. I had to practically bend in half to match her height. Man, imagine him having to pick her up for other things. With her weight, it would have been much faster to just pick her up, but I need to be careful with Annie. One wrong move and she'll shut me out completely. I need to earn her trust. I carefully helped her hop to the couch. Annie sank into it with relief. Making fun of the streamer is the whole point of watching streams. That is true. Cheering them on, but also teasing them. I would say, are the two biggest things for a good viewer, and you're doing a great job at both. She was in pain. It showed in every line of her face. Oops, sorry. Oop. Instead of tears, I expected, she only pressed her lips together, tighter, and furrowed her brow, choosing to endure the pain in silence. I wonder if this girl gets abused. There's a composure about her that seems beyond her years, or maybe just a habit of never showing weakness. Where do you keep the first aid kit? Annie nodded towards the cabinet across the room. Bottom shelf, white box with a red cross, you can't miss it. Quickly found the right box. The first aid kit was well stocked. Tweezers, bandages, antiseptic, painkillers, everything needed was there. When I turned back to Annie with my kit in my hands, she was already reaching out her palm towards me. I'm going to help her myself. Let me do it. I'll have more experience with injuries like these. Just a scratch, I've dealt with worse. Ignoring her indignant protests, I knelt down on one knee in front of the couch. For all you people who love feet, this is for you. For all you feet people, hope you enjoy this scene. Annie tried to pull her injured foot away, but I gently yet firmly held her by the ankle. Please don't fidget. I try to be as gentle as I can. The mandatory feet service. It's here. It's for you. Enjoy. All for you. All for my loving fans. Her foot felt surprisingly small and fragile in my hands. Not for me. I meant like you, the fans, not you specifically, bud. But like somebody in the audience might like this. Or have a fondness for feet. Normally, when treating injury, that girl got to eat some steak for real too. She's all bone. She's a very, very tiny girl. She's doing her best. Normally, when treating injuries, I worked quickly without ceremony, but now I tried to be as delicate as possible. Carefully extracting the shard with sterile tweezers, I picked up the bottle of antiseptic. The girl tensed up and clenched her fists. We have mandatory foot fan service if you want to see Mama on the laptop over here. Just an 18-year-old girl's foot being bandaged. What about Maddie's footsies?
No, them beans.
Dim beans. Well, thank you, Mama. When I poured the clear liquid over the wound, Annie pressed herself into the back of the couch, stifling a groan. He could make her do that another way, too. Instinctively, without thinking, I leaned in and blew on the treated wound to put more bacteria on it by blowing on it, the way I used to do it as a child when I scraped my knees. To my amazement, Annie didn't utter a single word of reproach, but her cheeks turned a telltale pink from this unexpectedly intimate gesture. Having quickly and neatly bandaged her foot, I pulled back. What were you even trying to get from that shelf? Was it really worth risking your neck? If you hadn't barged in here like a hurricane, nobody would have risked their neck. I went to grab a spare swim cap. I left mine in my room. And of course, they shoved the box all the way to the top, where you need a stepladder to reach it. Stepladder? What are you doing? Stepladder? Walking up to the cabinet, I reached the cardboard box on the top shelf without much effort and handed it to Annie. Here you go. Thanks. The gratitude was brief but sincere. Annie rummaged through the box and pulled out a bright blue swim cap. As I put the box back, I heard a glass crunch under my shoe. Small pieces of glass were still scattered along the floor. Looking around, I noticed a damaged photo frame behind the desk. The glass was cracked, but the photograph inside remained intact. Ah, it's Sam during her competition days, and her shoulders all bandaged up. What the heck? But you got first place, it looks like. Picked up this frame and studied the picture closely. It showed a very young Sam, about 15 years old. She stood triumphantly on the winner's podium in first place wearing a tight-fitting scarlet sports swimwear. Sam's right shoulder was tightly wrapped in bright white medical bandages, so noticeable that it immediately caught the eye. Seems like victory didn't come easy that day. My thoughts were cut short by a sound. The door behind me creaked open. What's going on here? Her voice sounded calm, but the air in the coach's office instantly thickened with tension. I will cover for Annie. Apologies for the mess, Miss Rivers. I'm afraid it's my fault. Yours. Sam raised an eyebrow questioningly. I came to see you, but the office was empty. I decided to wait a bit and noticed your photograph. Very impressive achievements, by the way. I pointed at the broken frame with the photograph of a young Sam. I wanted to get a closer look, picked it up, and, well, as I say, curiosity killed the cat. I accidentally knocked down the frame and it fell to the floor. Where did Annie come from? Miss Harper came running at the sound of breaking glass and wanted to help clean up, but accidentally stepped on a shard. I'm very sorry. Because of my clumsiness, that Annie hurt her foot. Sam surveyed the coach's office, and her gaze lingered in the fallen chair by the cabinet. I see. Sam said nothing, but it was clear from her face that she understood perfectly well what had actually happened. Nevertheless, she chose not to expose my lie. I'll clean up all the mess, of course. Don't worry about it. I'll ask the cleaning lady. Last thing we need is for you to step on glass, too. Harper, is your foot badly cut? Can you train? It's fine, I can train. Well then, while you're sitting here, go warm up. Annie got up from the couch and headed for the exit, limping slightly on her injured foot. As she passed me, she raised her eyes for a second and cast a quick glance in which a flicker of awkward gratitude showed for not giving her away. When Annie disappeared behind the door, Sam turned toward me. You said you were looking for me. Did something happen? I nodded toward the coffee cup I had brought from Nika's office. I want to treat you to some coffee. I thought that everything that happened, coffee might help you perk up a bit. Sam froze for a second, then laughed unexpectedly loud. The sound was sharp and somewhat unnatural in the quiet of the coach's office. To perk me up, you need something stronger than regular coffee. Oh, damn. I'll keep that in mind for next time. I made a show of checking my watch, playing the part of someone who just remembered the time. I take it you have a training session. I won't distract you from your work with idle chatter. I'm always happy to chat, especially with a man like you. Ooh. But alas, I can't leave a student alone in the pool unsupervised. Need some of that vitamin D, I take it. Oh, Harles. Harles, you wow. She's a very forward woman, that's for sure, though. Sounds dubious. Nika said that Sam used to regularly leave during training sessions. Now she's suddenly a model of responsibility. Did the situation with Evelyn change her approach to student safety? Or is she simply trying to impress me as a proper coach? Of course, I completely understand. Student safety comes first. Just so you know, I'm free after 6. Drop by for a glass of coffee. Wink, wink. I smiled slightly and nodded, deliberately leaving her invitation without a definitive answer, then heading for the pool exit. Well, the coast seems clear. Now I can get to inspecting the rooms. Daddy, yes. Having left the pool, I headed toward the east wing of the school where the students' rooms were located. Let me save real quick. What's that, Mama? Oh, you gotta flip the hot dog. Gotta roll those dogs. Roll that burnt hot dog. Oops, sorry. I head to the east wing of the school where the students' rooms were located. Hallways were empty, all the girls were in class, which created ideal conditions for my investigation. Since I made sure Sam isn't going to wander around the dormitory, I can take a look at her room. Freddie pulled a set of keys from my pocket when I heard the distinctive sound of a door handle turning somewhere very close by. Damn. Instantly shoved the keys back into my pocket. A door opposite opened, and a burst of girlish laughter came through, followed by 2 students peeking into the hallway. Noticing me, the girls suddenly fell silent. They exchanged glances and broke into wide smiles. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. About to slip away and pretend I was just passing by, but the red-haired girl beat me to it. How great that we ran into you, right, Kat? Yes, Linda and I were just talking about you. About me, I must admit, I'm a bit taken aback. The girls exchanged glances again and giggled. The blonde nudged her red-haired friend with the elbow, clearly encouraging her. We wanted to ask you something. Would you mind answering a couple of questions? It won't take long, honestly. Pick a number. Of course, go ahead. It's just, well, Kat and I had a bet. We wanted to find out. What's your zodiac sign? I think you're a Leo. Such a confident aura. I said Scorpio. They always have that piercing gaze. So that's what the question was about. Unlikely to help the investigation, but better to play along than attract unwanted attention. I'm a Leo, so your friend was white. Ha! I told you. You owe me a chocolate bar now. Doesn't count. That was too easy. And how old are you? You look quite young. Linda, that's rude to ask. Why is it rude? It's not like we're asking a woman. Old enough to work, but young enough to remember my school days. Wow, how diplomatic. And what do you do for a living? Interesting, so not all the girls know who I am and why I'm here. I'm... a detective, an architect, or a technical specialist. I'm a security systems specialist. I came to inspect and configure the school's equipment. Okay, fine. I'll pick something else. How's this? I'm a detective. Came to investigate a recent incident at your school. A real detective? Seriously? So it's true then. A student really did die at the school? The girl's eyes went wide with surprise. Unfortunately, I can't discuss the details of the investigation, but I assure you there's nothing to worry about. Girls were clearly burning with curiosity, but seeing my serious expression, they realized it wasn't worth pressing further. Just like in the movies, do you carry a gun? Usually I don't need one. There's no need for it in this investigation, especially within a school. Do you have a wife or a girlfriend? Linda, you got some nerve. Well, I'm just curious. At the moment, I'm too busy with work for a serious relationship. What kind of girls do you like? Linda blurted out the question so fast that even Kat didn't have time to stop her. Both girls stared at me, waiting for an answer. The kind that don't ask too many questions. Oh, snap. Oh, we got the hint. Sorry, we should really see new people at the academy. By the way, shouldn't you be in class right now? Well, we got excused. Actually, we're supposed to have literature class, but the teacher is terribly boring. We said we were feeling unwell. Kat gave her friend a pointed look, clearly feeling she shouldn't have been spilling the details to a stranger. Don't look at me like that. I'm sure Mr. Crofton. Mr. Crofton, being a true gentleman, won't tell anyone our little secret. Linda gave me a flirtatious wink, clearly counting on my solidarity. Dang, dude shot her down the hard way. He did. He's got too many other girls to juggle, it looks like. As long as these two chatterboxes are wandering the hallways with nothing to do, I won't be able to search the rooms in peace. The risk of them spotting me is too high. I have no reason to tell anyone, but if someone else sees you in the hallway, there could be trouble. Yes, I think you're right. Fine, we'll go back to our room. Boring, of course, but what can you do? It's really nice to meet you. Hope we'd see you again. Girls waved goodbye and reluctantly headed back to their room, continued to whisper about something. Going to Sam's room isn't very safe right now. What if one of them decides to come out again, or worse, spots me at someone else's door? Better search rooms farther from the spot. Less chance of attracting an unwanted attention. Taking the schedule for note from my pocket, I scheduled it carefully once more. Sophie doesn't have classes right now, so there's a chance she's in her room. But Annie and Mickey are in class right now. Annie's at swimming practice and Mickey has chemistry. Vivian also has class right now, so her room should be empty too. I think it's good to search a room with two people's stuff in it versus one, probably. Someone tells me I can find clues there. Stopping in front of the door 63, I pull out the set of keys that Nika had forgotten. Listening to the hallway, making sure no one was nearby, I carefully unlock the door. There's no turning back now. I can only hope none of the girls decide to return to the room. Stepping over the threshold, I immediately closed the door behind me, trying not to make any noise. The room greeted me with a familiar setting. I already been here yesterday when I first spoke with Annie. Today was an entirely different task, to find the skeletons in the closet that girls must be hiding. I pulled thin medical gloves from the inner pocket of my jacket and put them on. If I find something important, the evidence needs to remain untouched. Besides, if someone ends up getting arrested, my fingerprints at the scene would be rather inconvenient. Looking over the room once more, I mentally drew up a search plan. I need to check all the key spots where evidence or important documents might be hidden. Just a heads up, if you do have ads, they'll be starting in about a minute. We got the messy room. Annie's bed was made carelessly. The blanket was bunched up in a lump, and the sheets were sticking out from under the mattress. Even if I flipped the whole bed over, Annie would think it was always like that. Crouched down and looked under the mattress. What I saw made me raise an eyebrow in surprise. Hidden there were an entire collection, lots of candy, several untouched chocolate bars, a crumbled pack of cookies, and even a couple of lollipops. Strange, why hide food under the bed? I don't think the girls are forbidden from keeping sweets. And Mickey clearly isn't the kind of roommate who would secretly eat someone else's food. Maybe Annie's hiding them from someone else? Or is it some kind of compulsive habit, hoarding secret stashes? Besides the sweets, there was nothing interesting under Annie's mattress. I put it back, not even attempting to disguise the chaos. Mickey's bed was made so perfectly I could have served as a display as a furniture showroom. I get the feeling the slightest mess causes her stress. Mickey simply has to be perfect in everything. They call it the overachiever syndrome. Lifting Mickey's mattress, I peered underneath, empty, just the clean wooden slats of the bed frame. Walked over to the shared desk by the window. Opening the top drawer, I saw neatly arranged stationery, pens, pencils, erasers, paper clips, a standard school set. Playing an anime detective game with young girls and we haven't found a single toy in over 2 hours. What? Oh, hold tight, young woman. We still might find something still. The middle drawer is much the same. Notebooks, printouts, charts. I leafed through a couple of notebooks but found no personal notes. In the bottom drawer, another batch of notebooks and school supplies. Just in case, I checked that each drawer had for false bottoms or hidden compartments. Check came up empty. No secret compartments, no surprises. I think it's just these texts, right? Shifted my gaze to the bookshelf standing by Mickey's bed. Shelves were bursting with textbooks, reference books, and supplementary reading. I methodically began going through each book, carefully pulling them out one by one, shaking them, checking for hidden notes or inserts between the pages. Most were academic classics, clinical toxicology, cell biology, biophysics. The kind of textbooks given to upperclassmen at university. Mickey is definitely serious about her studies, perhaps even excessively so. The shelves also had several novels, mostly science fiction, and a couple of old volumes by Stephen King and Lovecraft. From one of the books, between the pages, several stickers slipped out featuring smiley boys in flashy outfits. K-pop idols, judging by the style. Interesting, not quite Annie's style, maybe they're not hers. What if Mickey secretly has a thing for pretty boy bands? Although why am I not surprised? Even the most disciplined straight-A student or horror fan can have boys in her mind. About 10 minutes later, it became clear everything that could be checked in the closet had been checked. Well, time wasted is also part of the job. Corner of the room stood a large wooden wardrobe for clothes and personal belongings. 2 doors, 2 drawers at the bottom. Makes sense, each girl has their own half. Swinging on the left side of the wardrobe, I immediately noticed that the clothes inside were meant for a very petite figure. This is little Miss Harper's side. Annie's clothes looked quite modest, t-shirts showing signs of countless washes, jeans with worn-through knees, a sweater with a neatly patched hole at the elbow. Everything was cleaned, folded neatly, but clearly not new. Interesting contrast, an academy for the elite and a patched sweater in the wardrobe. Apparently not all students here come from families that throw money around. Finding nothing useful among Annie's things, I moved on to the other half of the wardrobe. Oh. We're holding a bra for some reason. The first thing that caught my eyes was several bras of impressive size, neatly folded on top of the rest of the clothes. Here's Mickey's half. This is a professional inspection, nothing personal. There you go, Harles. Set the underwear aside and began the inspection. Every piece of Mickey's Elderwood's wardrobe was highly quality and expensive. Despite the understated appearance, all the items carried labels from well-known brands. Mickey dresses simple and modestly, but in reality her wardrobe is worth a fortune. At the bottom of the drawer, under neatly folded clothes, I noticed something wrapped in a gray t-shirt. The fabric bulged slightly, concealing something dense and rectangular. Hey! Look very carefully at this report card. I think you're going to want to see something special in here. I see something. Mama, I'm in the game. Yeah. I'll bring you the laptop. I'm gonna show my wife. My first appearance in a video.
awesome, baby. That's so cool.
I did. I'm just happy to be noticed. Let's see, we got Evelyn had all A's, all 10s, and Mickey almost had all 10s, except for she had a 9 in sport. Evelyn Frost, for academic for a grant, exceptional academic and athletic abilities. Mickey Elderwood, potential grant candidate, but currently her physical fitness scores are insufficient. And then we have awesome other people who I'm guessing these are other people who played the demo as well as me. So, Yellow of Oz, resident of the Land of Oz, Nevia of Flame, Zaguni, ordinary New York City rat scavenging for pizza, Grim Reaper Sakura, doing the Wilds thing, Lizzie the Rizzler, fun, enjoyment, and chill, Arizuki, the Keeper of the Woods, BHM 100, Odd, DHD, Bi, Arrow, Gender Fluid Puddle of Femininity, Tension Holiday, Sent on Permanent Vacation, DJ Wolfie01, Average Furry VTuber that runs on Chaos and Fun, Kiki Cakes, a sweet gamer who will show you everything, a Fridge Goddess with her icy grasp and tendency to suck at all games, and she plays the Fridge Goddess, will attempt to entertain you. Midwest Game Guy, that's me. George trying to follow his biggest dream. Prince Legit, managed to fight in almost every game. D Wolf YJ, just a cutie, and then Carrot Head Ovo is in different language. Now I ought to add some Midwest Game Guy into Dungeon Rummage Origins too. I'd appreciate it. I hope this is like a trend in the future. Like a lot of the people I've played games for or demos for, they'll have like a slight nod to me or something. Like I'm happy to be in an RPG like gravestone somewhere. I think that'd be fun. Very special. That's cool. Cool as hell. Wrapping the t-shirt, I found a folder on the cover written by hand, grade report, upper classes. But I appreciate it, Harley. You don't have to, but if you do, I'm very appreciative of it. Wait, are these the documents Nika was talking about? The very ones that mysteriously vanished from the teacher's lounge? I opened the folder and saw detailed tables of grades, rankings, and teacher comments. My eyes quickly caught familiar names. Evelyn Frost had flawless grades in every subject and maximum scores in athletic achievements. Teacher's comment column read, recommended for the grant. Exceptional abilities in both academic and athletic fields. Mickey Elderwood had high marks in the sciences, slightly lower scores in athletic disciplines. At the bottom of the page, in neat, almost clerical handwriting, a final comment had been added. A potential grant candidate, but however, her current physical fitness scores are insufficient. According to preliminary results, teachers are leaning towards awarding the grant to Evelyn, and Mickey resort to theft to find that out. The question is, how far was she willing to go once she learned the grant might go to her rival? This could be a motive. Should I tell Nika about this find? I better talk to Mickey herself first. Maybe she'll tell me everything herself in a friendly conversation, or worst case, I can put some pressure on her. Anyway, I'll figure it out as I go. How's my heart doing? I have a really good relationship with Annie, apparently. Nice. Wrap the folder back in the t-shirt and place it exactly in the same spot. Meticulously rearranged all the clothes, resorting to the original order. Scanning the room, I checked against every memory. I checked against my memory. Wardrobe, books, bed, everything was in its place. There should be no trace of interference. I glanced at my watch. 10 minutes until class ends, too little to search another room, but enough to calmly leave the dormitory. I walked to the door and pressed my ear against the wooden surface, listening for sounds in the hallway. Silence, no footsteps, no voices. Cautiously cracking the door open, I peered outside. The hallway was empty, only sunlight streaming through the tall windows, casting patterns of light and shadow on the floor. Stepping out of the room, I carefully locked the door and checked the lock. The watch on my wrist silently vibrated, signaling the academy students had just finished their 4th class. According to the schedule, a long break had begun. I need to go somewhere. Girls will be here soon. I'd rather not explain my presence in the dormitory. Walked up a tall window at the end of the corridor, which offered a view of the entrance to the park area in the school's backyard. My attention was immediately drawn to a solitary figure entering the garden. A girl with a high ponytail and lilac hair was leisurely walking along one of the paths, making her way deeper into the garden maze. That's Sophie Williams. I think I know how to spend my time. I'll take a walk in the fresh air, have a chat with Mrs. Williams while I'm at it. Just say she was too upset to open up. Maybe today I can get her talking and find out something. Once I reached the school's backyard, I involuntarily slowed my pace, captivated by the view. The garden was truly magnificent, as if transplanted from some royal palace. Tall trees and well-groomed shrubs formed a natural labyrinth of alleys and secluded nooks. An entire army of gardeners must work here every day to maintain such a beauty. Paved paths branched off in different directions, some disappearing around bends between green walls or trimmed hedges. Following the winding trails, I finally came upon a small square with an elegant fountain at its center. Nearby in a white gazebo, I finally spotted Sophie. She was sitting on a bench, holding a book in her hands. There was no one else nearby. The place seemed completely secluded. Perfect, just what's needed for a candid conversation. Sophie was sitting sideways to me and didn't notice my approach right away, absorbed in her reading. She looked peaceful for the first time since we met. There were no traces of tears or tension on her face. When my footsteps became clearly audible, she raised her head and turned around. For a second, weariness flickered in her eyes, but upon recognizing me, she relaxed. Mr. Crofton, it's you. Hello, Sophie. Am I disturbing you? I see you're reading. Sophie carefully closed the book, not forgetting to mark the page with a small bookmark with a satin ribbon. Sat down on the bench beside her. Well, of course not. Were you looking for me? I want to take a walk in the garden and get some fresh air. It's very beautiful here, though it's easy to get lost. Sophie nodded, shifted slightly on the bench, and invited me to sit down beside her. My first school day, I decided to take a walk here before class, but I got lost and ended up being very late. But now I know my way around here better than academy corridors. Well, now I know how to turn off... Well, now I know who to turn to if I get lost here. Do you come here often? The girl nodded affirmatively. This place reminds me of home. When I sit here, I sometimes forget that I'm at the academy. Is there a garden at your home too? Yes, well there was, before we moved. Our old house was outside the city. We had a large and very beautiful garden. Remember how my sister and I would plant roses every spring? I didn't know Sophie had a sister. Our gardener used to say that roses are special flowers. They can sense the mood of a person who tends to them. Sophie fell silent for a few seconds, apparently lost in memories. Then she sighed softly. Did you move a long time ago? A year ago, right before I enrolled in this academy. It all happened so fast. Just a couple months, our entire life was turned upside down. I became the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Why did you have to move? If it's not a secret, of course. Sophie looked away, shrugging vaguely. I noticed her fingers nervously fidgeting with the edge of her school skirt, crumpling the fabric. Family circumstances. Things happen in life. Sometimes you have to start over, even when you don't want to at all. Seems the move didn't make her happy. Now, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. Seems the move didn't make her happy. Financial problems, perhaps, or her parents' divorce? I realized this was a painful subject and decided not to press further. Sophie seemed grateful for my tact. Soon she straightened her shoulders and changed the subject herself. You know, this morning I recalled an incident with Avi. It was spring right before the holidays. It was hot and we left the windows in our room open and a wasp flew in, a huge one. I'm terribly afraid of them. I simply can't stand them. When I saw it, I started panicking, waving my arms, screaming. Avi tried to calm me down, but I was such a panic that I wouldn't listen to her. The wasp circled around under the ceiling at first, and then landed right on Avi's shoulder. Sophie paused for a second, and I saw something like reverence appear in her eyes. Do you know what happened next? Evelyn just froze, stood perfectly still, and the wasp calmed down too, just sat on her shoulder cleaning its antenna. Avi said to me then, "Don't move, Sophie, she doesn't want to hurt us." Can you imagine? A wasp is sitting on her, and she's the one calming me down? But I didn't listen to her. I thought the wasp might sting her, so I grabbed a notebook from the desk and hit her shoulder. The girl exhaled loudly. Well, I meant well, but it backfired. The wasp must have gotten scared and stung Evelyn, then fell to the floor. I wanted to crush it with my shoe, but you know what? Evelyn wouldn't let me do it. She's alive too, she said. The wasp is just scared and defending itself. Despite her stung shoulder, Avi took a glass and a sheet of paper from the desk, caught the wasp, and carefully released it out the window. I felt terribly ashamed then. Because of my fear and ignorance, I nearly took a life and made my friend suffer. But Avi didn't hold it against me that she got stung because of me. She said she hugged me and said, "It's okay, Sophie. You were just trying to protect me. I understand." You know, the incident made me understand a lot about Evelyn, about her views. She truly loved life, all life, even one as small and seemingly insignificant as the life of a wasp. Avi was one of those people who always seek a peaceful solution, who sees value in every living creature. She turned to me and looked straight into my eyes. Her gaze conveyed firm resolve, though her eyes glistened with restrained tears. She loved life too much. Avi couldn't have just gone and hanged herself. So I'm asking you, tell me the truth, Mr. Crofton. She didn't do it herself, did she? Evelyn didn't take her own life. Tell the truth. There's no point in hiding what Sophie probably already understands. She's not stupid, she was her best friend. If I lie to her now, I'll most likely lose her trust forever. Her help could prove vital in the investigation. If anyone could help me understand what happened in the last days of Evelyn's life, it's Sophie. For several seconds I looked into her eyes, full of hope and fear, weighing my decisions. Then I slowly but resolutely nodded. Aw, I thought I was onto something in the Windrose by trying to use multiple guns, like they did back then since they all flintlocks, but turns out you can't. Using a second gun still makes you need to reload first. Sure hope they're gonna fix that. I sure hope so too, bud. That's a little bummer, for sure. You're right, Sophie. The forensic report came in. Evelyn didn't take her own life. All the evidence points to murder. Sophie didn't take her eyes off me. Her face remained unwavering and firm. She didn't look shocked or stunned, rather relieved, like someone who had finally received confirmation of their deepest suspicions. You know, the entire night after I was told about what happened, I couldn't fall asleep. I was trying to be the dude from Assassin's Creed Black Flag with 15 guns. Pew 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 pew! That would be epic, for sure. I lay in bed going over the last few days, last conversation with Avi. Kept thinking, what did I miss? Why couldn't I see that my best friend was such despair? It was in such despair. Tears finally streaming down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away, letting them flow freely. That guilt was just eating me alive. I thought I had failed the person dearest to me at the most critical moment of my life. Of her life. What happened is not your fault, although it still needs to be verified and proven. But there's definitely someone responsible for the crime. Sophie, do you have any thoughts on who it could be? Sophie shook her head. I have absolutely no idea who could have done this, but now that I know the truth, I think about it, maybe I'll manage to remember something that could help you. Is there anything else I can do to help with your investigation? Ask about grand competition. Ask if Evelyn could have found something. Thank you for telling about Evelyn. Some idea about the motives, but should I share them with Sophie? I have a theory. What if Evelyn found something that someone wanted to keep hidden? Some secret that could have seriously compromised someone. Sophie raised her head and saw a flash of interest in her eyes. That sounds plausible. Evelyn was always very observant and had a knack of noticing details that others miss. Sometimes she could tell with one look that a person was lying or hiding something. Last year there was an incident. One of the girls kept missing practice, claiming she was sick. Everyone believed her, even Coach Rivers, but Avi noticed right away that the girl was simply meeting some boy in town. And what happened? Avi didn't tell anyone. She never liked gossip or intrigue. But she went to the girl personally and told her it was unfair to deceive the team. By the way, didn't know you were into visual novels too. I can't play those. If I wanted to read a manga, I would buy a manga. I like them from time to time. I wouldn't say they're my go-to. I like to have mystery, like point-and-click games, and visual novels sometimes fit into that. It was more just I really wanted to play this game because I had fun with the demo a while back when I was reached out to by the dev, and wanted to keep doing it. But like, a lot of times on Mystery Mondays, usually what I was playing was like get back to the Phoenix Wright series or the Deponia series. So like lots of different like visual novels / point-and-clicks usually fall into this kind of like category of Mondays. This is what typically Mondays are like on a normal schedule, but I've been trying to squeeze in a lot of different indie spotlights for quite a while. But this is all it's also in itself an indie spotlight as well, since as you saw it's like a 3 or 4 person team. She went to the girl personally and told her it was unfair to deceive the team. The girl denied everything at first, but then burst into tears and confessed.
You see, Avi wasn't mean or vengeful, but she had a very strong sense of justice. If she saw a lie or injustice, she couldn't just walk past it. Raised a logical question: who among those with access to the pool could have secrets worth extreme measures? Sophie turned to me, her face looking remarkably mature and determined. Everyone has secrets, but what matters more is understanding whose secret Avi might have uncovered. Evelyn was a candidate for the grants. She's also the best swimmer on the team. Could that have bothered someone? Surprise appeared on her face. She clearly hadn't expected the conversation to take this turn. Yes, Avi was indeed the favorite, but she didn't really have any competitors unless are you thinking of Mickey Elderwood? And considering all possibilities, competition for the grant is perfectly valid motive. Sophie shook her head with obvious skepticism. Yes, they were both candidates for the grant, but killing over grades and a scholarship? That seems too extreme to me. Of course, the competition was serious, but to that extent? Mickey has always been a very quiet, withdrawn girl. She lives in her own world of formulas and textbooks. Honestly, I can barely imagine her as a killer. She's too insecure for something like that. How do they interact with each other? Did Evelyn ever complain about Mickey? Maybe she mentioned some conflicts. They barely interacted. Avi wasn't really close to anyone besides me, but I didn't notice any conflicts with other girls either. What about other candidates? Someone else counting on the grant? Formerly, all graduating students with high grades are candidates, but the only real competition for Avi was Mickey. Sophie Claire doesn't believe that anyone, Mickey in particular, could have killed Evelyn Frost over the competition for the grant. Seems to be seen how much I believe in this theory and whether it's worth pursuing. Thank you for telling me about it, Evelyn. Thank you for sharing your memories and thoughts. You've helped me better understand who Evelyn was. Nice talking about Avi with someone who's genuinely trying to understand what happened to her. She was wonderful, the best friend one could ever imagine. Sometimes I feel like I didn't appreciate her enough when she was by my side. You always think there's plenty of time ahead, that all the important conversations can wait until tomorrow. Turns out that tomorrow might never come. She fell silent and slowly turned to me. I noticed something changed in her gaze. I forgot to thank you. Thank me for what? For the truth, you didn't try to deceive me and protect me from unpleasant facts. Thank you, I really appreciate it, truly. Without saying another word, Sophie slowly moved closer to the bench. Distance between us shrank, and I caught a faint scent of her perfume, something floral and subtle. Suddenly, Sophie reached out and gently touched my hair. Her fingers carefully removed a small leaf that had apparently gotten caught when I was walking through the garden thicket. A leaf got caught. Her hand lingered near my temple, and peculiar tension hung between us. I'm sorry, I'm probably behaving inappropriately. It's just that I haven't felt this safe with someone in a long time. Since Avi's death, I felt so lonely, and only around you I don't have to pretend to be strong. She unexpectedly leaned in and gently rested her head on my shoulder. The gesture was so natural that I froze, unsure how to react. Sophie's a suspect. I should maintain a professional distance, but do I push her away? She looks so lost, so vulnerable. Or is this all part of the game, an attempt to charm me into order to deflect suspicion? Maybe I've just been working alone for too long. I'm starting to see conspiracies where there are none. You know, I feel like ever since the day Evelyn died, I've lost the ability to trust people. I suspect everyone. I expect a trick from everyone. But with you, I don't know why. I feel like I can be myself. The irony is that I'm the one suspecting her of involvement in the murder. She's talking about trust. We sat in silence for several minutes, accompanied by the melodic murmur of the fountain. The moment was strangely intimate despite all the circumstances. Somewhere in the distance, the girl's laughter rang out, serving as a reminder that our private conversation could be interrupted at any moment. While no one has come yet, I have time to discuss another topic with Sophie away from prying eyes. Information Nika shared with me yesterday's surfaced in my mind. Security system data shows strange discrepancies in the records of Sophie's movements. Nika said yesterday at 8 in the evening, Sophie entered the school grounds and left at 10:30. There's no data on her leaving anywhere during the day, nor any data on how she returned after a nighttime outing. Yesterday, when I asked where she was in the evening of the murder, Sophie clearly had something back. I'll ask after all. The investigation could be critically important for the investigation. Try to phrase the question as delicately as possible so not to scare her. Sophie, I have one more question. Might seem strange, but it's important for the investigation. Did you leave school ground multiple times on Sunday? The effect of my words was instant. She turned startled toward me and saw how dramatically her expression changed. What do you mean? Her voice sounded uncertain and slightly hoarse, as if her throat had gone dry, and her gaze darted around, avoiding direct eye contact. The security system keeps automatic records of all entries and exits. According to the data, you entered the grounds yesterday at 8 in the evening and left at 10:30. There's no records of when exactly you left the school during the day or how you returned at night. Sophie turned so pale that the face became almost white. Her hands clenched nervously on the edge of the bench, her knuckles white with tension. I went out for a walk, I think. I don't really remember. Perhaps there was a technical error in the system. These things happen. Her action reveals that she understands perfectly well and remembers what this is about, and that there's something more behind it than a simple malfunction at the gates. Simply trying to reconstruct the timeline of yesterday's evening's events to understand who was where. She quickly stood from the bench, pressing the book to her chest. Her movements were abrupt and nervous. I need to get to class. As for the gates, it was probably some kind of glitch. I couldn't have left without coming back. Yes, that's probably the case. Well, I won't keep you any longer. Uh-oh. Hurry, the gazebo X, clearly eager to get away from the uncomfortable topic as quickly as possible. Great, now Sophie will avoid me and treat me with suspicion. The reaction itself speaks volumes, something definitely about Sunday evening that she doesn't want to talk about. Rising from the bench, I slowly walked around the gazebo, letting the information I gathered settle on my mind. Conversation was quite useful, but I'm not one to trust words alone. Sophie's clearly hiding something. After mildly slipping my hands in my trouser pockets, I felt the familiar weight of a set of keys. Sophie's gone to class. This opportunity to search the room which she shared with Evelyn. My intuition tells me I'll find something interesting there. Leaving the gazebo, I set off back across the winding paved path. Time to return to the active part of my investigation. Time was ticking relentlessly. The meeting with the board trustees was drawing ever closer. With the picturesque garden, the gazebo, the fountain behind me, I headed back to the residential wing of the school. Girls' room numbers 63, 65, 73. 65, Evelyn and Sophie. Victim's room is the foundation of any investigation, but until now there hasn't been a good moment to examine it. Better late than never. Finding the right door, I noticed two small, eye-catching stickers on it. On the left was a smiling yellow sun with little rays. On the right, a blue snowflake with delicate lace-like patterns. Let me guess, the snowflake is the emotionless Evelyn, and the sun is the ever-smiling Sophie. Wonder how two such different girls became friends. Listen for the sound of the hallway. Complete silence. Taking out the key ring, I unlocked the door. Quite cozy in here. Nothing suggests that one of the occupants in this room is dead. To practice motion, I pulled medical gloves from my pocket and put them on. Set a timer on my watch. 30 minutes so I wouldn't overstay. I think it's a good place to stop for the week, or until next week. For this game, I'm starting to lose my ability to read well. It's getting late, so I think it's good to pause here. We'll come back to this next Monday if the schedule allows it. But for now, that's the plan. So let me save real quick. And then tomorrow, and the rest of the week is our normal batch of RPG indie goodness. So you're going to see things like Bloodstained Hands, Our Dying World, some more Dungeon Rummage Origins. We're going to see some more Raveheart Plus, some more Leyline Chronicles. Happy guy. You too. You have a good night too. Charles, let me get the doggy over for one last treat and we'll call it a night before we raid out. Give me 1 second, I'll get Maddie. By giving Maddie a treat for the redeem there. Thank you. Have a good night, okay? Cool. Have a good night, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow for some more Bloodstained Hands as I try to beat General Dawn. Have a good night. Well, hi and bye there, powerful wizard. Good to see. Thank you for stopping by for your first chat. But yep, we're raiding out right now, bud. But thank you for stopping by. Have a good night, Valen. Oh, I'm way late. Whoops. No worries. But we'll be back tomorrow on the channel at 9 p.m. Central for some more Bloodstained Hands. Just looking for somebody to raid out to. Sorry, but you're good, buddy. No worries at all. Oh, that one's offline. Leave a follow so you won't be late next time. Oh, thanks. Harls is hyping me up. Thanks, Harls. Alright, we're gonna have a Kenny Cross a raid tonight.